Chapter 1523. Yang Cheng calmed himself down and transmitted his voice back. Didn't I already give you the cultivation method? Can't you tell if it's real or fake? Luo Qianxiu coldly snorted and transmitted his voice back. My Luo family's collection of cultivation methods is the best in the entire illusion realm. What you gave me is clearly the 9-stage void refining art that my Luo family already has. Do you think I'm a fool? 9-stage void refining art? What is that? Yang Cheng was startled. Could it be that, just like how the Shao family has a Heaven's Fate Remnant scroll, the Luo family also has one, just with a different name? Damn it. Why does the endless resolve restoration scripture sound like something that can be found on the streets? Or does it have a special meaning in it? Yang Cheng knew that no matter how he explained, the other party would not believe such a strange thing. Moreover, he had no interest in explaining it to him. His gaze swept behind Luo Qianxiu and immediately locked onto Luo Hang. Although Yang Cheng had never seen Luo Hang before, just from the position he was standing and the expression on his face that seemed as if he wanted to swallow him and see out Qiqing alive, Yang Cheng could already tell. At this moment, in Yang Cheng's eyes, Luo Hang was already a dead man. Luo Qianxiu's senses were sharp and immediately discovered where Yang Cheng's gaze was focused. His expression immediately turned cold as he said in a low voice, "Luo Hang, stand down." Luo Hang stood behind him in a daze, not understanding what his father meant. "Humph, do you think he can escape?" As soon as Yang Cheng's voice fell, his figure had already risen from the ground, and he charged towards Luo Hang at lightning speed. Only then did Luo Hang react. He did not expect Yang Cheng to be surrounded by so many people, and Luo Qianxiu was present. Instead of retreating, he actually wanted to kill him. Was this guy a madman who was not afraid of death? But Yang Cheng's terrifying true essence pressure was clearly far beyond his imagination. He was secretly angry. Why did Xiao Qiqing have to deal with such a freak? This guy should not be as old as him. Could it be that he was already at the tribulation stage in his mother's womb? Being locked on by Yang Cheng's spiritual sense, Luo Hang felt a chill run down his spine. He was so scared that he couldn't move. However, Luo Qianxiu was already prepared for this. An abundant amount of true yuan condensed into a shield, allowing Luo Hang to heave a sigh of relief. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Do you really think you could defeat me with the Chaos Cauldron? Luo Qianxiu sneered as he faced the oncoming Yang Cheng. Opening his palm, a purplish-red ball of light rapidly condensed into a sphere in his palm, and a bolt of purplish-red lightning shot towards Yang Cheng like an agile snake. Who said anything about using the Chaos Cauldron? Yang Cheng had already seen the power of this lightning, so he didn't dare to use his body to resist it. He had long since prepared himself. A purple flame that was like the roar of an earth dragon brazenly collided with the lightning. Boom! The purple flame was after all a combination of fire and kuei water, so its power was a notch higher. Before the purplish-red lightning could even touch Yang Cheng, it was already smashed into smithereens. A large amount of purple and red lightning flashed across the sky, and the true Yuan shockwave caused the surrounding Luo family fort cultivators to tremble in fear. Many of the elder-level cultivators subconsciously retreated more than 100 meters away, so as not to be caught in the crossfire. Yang Cheng could have used the Chaos Cauldron to fight, but at this moment, the Chaos Cauldron was shrouding Xiao Qiqing, acting as a protective umbrella. Yang Cheng didn't want to take advantage of his battle with Luo Qianxiu to sneak attack Xiao Qiqing. Women didn't have the ability to protect themselves, so Yang Cheng didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. At this time, Luo Hang was right in front of him. Yang Cheng didn't want to miss this opportunity, because if he didn't kill him today, it would be difficult to find him the next time. The dreamland was so vast, if he really didn't come out, then Yang Cheng might not be able to find him. In just one round, Yang Cheng discovered that Luo Qianxiu's cultivation was extremely astonishing. Logically speaking, with his Tai Ching heavenly lightning at the great perfection stage, Luo Qianxiu at the weak water stage shouldn't be his opponent. But the strength of Luo Qianqiu's true yuan was not within the scope of ordinary weak water stage. Although his purple flame was much stronger than the purplish-red lightning, it didn't gain much of an advantage and was intercepted. Behind him, Luo Heng saw this scene and already knew the danger of staying, so he turned around to escape. Don't even think of running. How could Yang Cheng give him the chance? His figure turned sharply, and he waved an even more terrifying blue flame dragon towards Luo Heng. Yang Cheng's speed was far faster than Luo Heng's. When he felt the aura of death shuttling behind him, he was so scared that he nearly peed his pants. But Luo Qianqiu's speed wasn't slow either. Another bolt of purple lightning chased after him, intercepting the blue flame halfway. Bang! Bang! A series of explosions rang out, causing the blue flame dragon's momentum to greatly decrease, as if it was constantly being nibbled away by the purple lightning. Finally, the flame's speed was very slow. Yang Cheng was annoyed. Although this purple lightning wasn't too strong, it had a strange true yuan frequency that was able to shatter his own purple flame and blue flame, making it impossible for him to deal any significant damage. But Yang Cheng didn't expect this to hit Luo Heng. Taking advantage of this moment, Yang Cheng had already caught up to Luo Heng, grabbing at the back of this fellow's neck. Your opponent is me. Luo Qianqiu wasn't any slower. At this time, he appeared in front of Yang Cheng, his entire body covered in purple and red lightning. He was like a man made of lightning, condensing his true yuan into a fist that smashed towards Yang Cheng's head. This was the first time that Yang Cheng had encountered such a fast opponent. If he didn't directly counterattack or dodge, then he would definitely be hit. But Yang Cheng was overjoyed. Good. You asked for it. Yang Cheng's body instantly condensed a mass of pale gray water. It split into two, one flying towards Luo Qianqiu and Luo Heng. Pale gray water! At such a close distance, wanting to escape would be difficult. Luo Qianqiu didn't expect this, but his reaction was extremely fast. He quickly dodged, brushing past the pale gray water as he spun around. He was so nimble, it was like he had turned into a bolt of lightning. At the same time, the purple and red lightning around him struck Yang Cheng from the side. Bang! Yang Cheng's body was struck by the purple lightning and was sent flying back several dozen meters. In that instant, the pale gray water also dissipated. Luo Heng barely dodged this attack, his face pale with fright. If he had been touched by even a little bit of the pale gray water, his soul would have flown away. F***CK. Yang Cheng was infuriated. He didn't expect Luo Qianqiu's purplish-red lightning to not only have a strange vibration frequency, but also an acceleration effect. Furthermore, the purplish-red lightning was faster than Ruoshui by a notch. Not only did he fail to attack from both sides, he even got hit. He felt all his muscles and skin aching, and his clothes were torn to shreds. Luckily, his physique was abnormal, so he didn't suffer any injuries. Looking back, Luo Heng had already taken this opportunity to escape far away. It would be difficult to chase after him. He actually let that animal Luo Heng escape. Yang Cheng's eyes burned with rage, his murderous intent reaching its peak. The Luo family fortress cultivators watching from afar were shaken to the core, but seeing their patriarch strike Yang Cheng first, they cheered and cheered. Luo Xiaoxiao breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Luo Heng had escaped, but she looked worriedly at Yang Cheng, then at her father with a complicated expression, her brows furrowed, not knowing what to do. What? With just this little bit of ability, you want to kill my son in front of this Luo? You can't even protect yourself. Luo Qianqiu sneered. Yang Cheng was so angry that he laughed. It doesn't matter, I'll kill you first, then I'll go kill that turtle son of yours. Saying so, Yang Cheng charged at Luo Qianqiu once more with blue flames in one hand and purple flames in the other. Luo Qianqiu solemnly waited, purplish-red lightning continuously condensing around his body, clashing against Yang Chen's purplish-blue flames one after another, attacking whenever there was a gap. For a time, the two of them confronted each other in the air, forming a dense web of purple and red lightning, like flames in the middle of the day. From time to time, powerful true chi shockwaves would ripple out, causing many cultivators with lower cultivations to flee as far as they could. But many cultivators endured the fear and the roiling blood in their bodies, not willing to run away. Because this kind of battle above the peak of the weak water realm really made them envious and infatuated. Although Yangcheng's purple and blue flames were more powerful, they were constantly being worn down by the dense web of lightning. On the contrary, there would occasionally be a few purple and red lightning bolts that would scatter around Yangcheng's body, causing Yangcheng to be struck from time to time, as if he were at the bottom of the mountain. Seeing all of this, Xiao Qiqing's heart ached. Suddenly remembering something, she shouted towards the sky, "Husband, be careful. That is the Luo family's top magical technique. Purple lightning pierces the clouds. With the two elements of metal and fire complementing each other, it can shatter most attacks. Only a large-scale attack can effectively contain it." Hearing the woman's words, Yangcheng's mind flashed with a trace of clarity. So it was like this. He had almost fallen into this old brat's trap. Chapter 1524. He had always wanted to use absolute power to suppress Luo Qinxiu, but he did not realize that the limitation of this purple lightning was that it could not cause large-scale damage. Although its speed was extremely fast, if he attacked him from all directions, then he would not be able to completely deflect his own attack, although the power could not be compared to the attack from the gathering place. But no matter how strong Luo Qinxiu was, he could not resist the erosion of the weak water. The woman of the Shao clan knows a lot. Luo Qinxiu glanced coldly at Xiao Qiqing below and said loudly, "Luo Qinli, you lead the cultivators above the dark water stage and break the defense of the chaos cauldron." In the distance, Luo Qinli finally reacted. He was a cultivator at the early stage of the weak water stage, and originally planned to join forces with Luo Feng to replace Luo Qinxiu. But now that Luo Feng was dead, if he wanted to live well, he must listen to Luo Qinxiu's orders. His gaze swept across Xiao Qiqing, who was shrouded in the chaos cauldron. Luo Qinli laughed sinisterly and led dozens of dark water stage cultivators towards the chaos cauldron. The Luo clan had many spells, and their power was tyrannical. With Luo Qinli, a weak water stage expert, taking the lead, the group of Luo clan cultivators began to launch a magnificent attack. The dark, gray, chaotic power resisted these spells one by one, but could not absorb all of them, and was inevitably heavily injured. It flickered. Yangcheng frowned, thinking that if the Chaos Cauldron only defended and did not attack, it should be able to resist for a while. As soon as he thought of this, Yangcheng mobilized the heaven and earth energy to the extreme. The endless heaven and earth energy of the Zhou Tian gathered, like a surging tsunami, facing the purple lightning that constantly penetrated the flames and attacked him. Yangcheng used the weak water to condense a huge shield to block it, and let the weak water in front of him become bigger and bigger, forming a huge ball of more than 10 feet wide. The gray-white ball of weak water was struck by the purple lightning and dissipated from time to time, but it could not stop it from growing stronger. The aura of death filled the entire area, and the world seemed to tremble because of this decaying power. Luo Qianqiu's complexion finally became dignified. He didn't think that Yangcheng would be able to gather such a massive amount of weak water. This required a tremendous amount of control and true essence to accomplish. Below, the Chaos Cauldron emitted a dark gray chaos energy, forming a light curtain around Xiao Qiqing, blocking the colorful magic treasures and magic attacks. Xiao Qiqing, who was hiding under the Chaos Cauldron, felt that she would be blasted into powder at any time. She bit her lips, and her face turned pale. Fortunately, the Chaos Cauldron had absorbed a lot of powerful cultivators from the Luo family, so it was in a state of high energy. At this moment, it was rotating slowly, and the power of chaos was endless. Luo, Qinli, and dozens of cultivators were unable to break through its defense. Luo Chinchio's expression was one of wariness as he continued to control the purplish-red lightning to bombard the area, not understanding what Yang Cheng was trying to do. At this moment, Yang Cheng felt that it was about time and blasted the entire weak water ball into the sky. Break! Yang Cheng poured his true essence energy into the core of the weak water ball and violently exploded it in all directions. Pong! After a monstrous, muffled sound, the giant ball of weak water turned in a countless gray rain of weak water that filled the sky, shooting out hundreds of meters in all directions at a rapid speed. This time, it wasn't the weak water that was dispersed after Yang Cheng was hit, but the weak water that was condensed by Yang Cheng, forming a wide range of attacks. The unavoidable weak water, mixed with the breath of death, caused not only Luo Chinchio, but all the cultivators who were attacking the chaos cauldron below to be shocked. When the first drop of weak water touched a dark water stage cultivator, a scream tore through the night sky. Following that, the dozens of Luo family cultivators couldn't withstand the erosion of the weak water. One after another, they let out miserable screams, and one by one, their souls were destroyed. The Chaos Cauldron took advantage of this time and began to greedily absorb the spiritual chi of these cultivators, spinning faster and faster. The Chaos Beast was obviously very excited. Although at the same time, Yang Cheng was hit by Luo Chinchio's purplish-red lightning, but his chi and blood only tumbled a little, and he didn't suffer much damage. On the contrary, the attack of the weak water could be fatal to them. Luo Qinli didn't dare to be careless. He didn't have the terrifying cultivation of his elder brother. He hurriedly put up a true essence shield and quickly dodged to escape. Luo Chinchio suffered the densest baptism of the weak water. It could be said that he was in the center of the weak water rain, but his true essence was strong, and he put up a full true essence shield, resisting the weak water. But his attack also stopped. After all, his physical fitness was not as abnormal as Yang Cheng's, and he couldn't be indifferent to the weak water like Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng didn't intend to defeat Luo Chinchio with a single move. With a large area of effect, the power of the weak water rain would be greatly reduced. He just wanted to get rid of the group of Luo family cultivators below to let them know that this was not a battle that ants could participate in. Seeing Luo Chinchio's attack stop, Yang Cheng knew that he was on the right path. He continued to condense several more weak water balls, and with a loud bang, they exploded, baptizing Luo Chinchio in all directions. Luo Chinchio was restricted to a small area, and his true essence shield was constantly being eroded. He knew that the situation was not good. A fiery light flashed in his eyes, not only because he was being suppressed by Yang Cheng, but also because Yang Cheng had killed so many of his family's core cultivators. Boy, you dare? You're seeking your own death. Luo Chinchio was not lightly angered. He didn't intend to ask about the endless resolve restoration scripture anymore. If he didn't get rid of Yang Cheng, his heart wouldn't be at ease. Have a taste of my three-legged golden crow insight. Golden crow true fire. Luo Chinchio's body was suddenly enveloped in blazing golden flames, as if a strange three-legged bird with a wingspan of several tens of feet had suddenly spread its wings. Yang Cheng saw the strange bird spit out golden flames towards the sky, as if it was announcing the arrival of its king, and all living beings would submit to it. The radiance of the sun continued to expand in the sky. Surrounding Luo Chinchio, the golden flames were like raging waves, dispersing the weak water balls one by one. At this moment, Luo Chinchio seemed to have become the core of a small sun, and there wasn't a single part of his body that wasn't shining brightly. When Yang Cheng had heard Xiao Qiqing mention this cultivation technique, he knew that it was the golden crow heavenly fire, but he didn't think that its power would reach such a terrifying degree. This kind of arrogant and untamed heavenly fire was not inferior to any kind of heavenly fire. No wonder in the last 1,000 years, only Luo Chinchio had managed to comprehend it. This was definitely a heaven-defying technique. Of course, the reliance on one's true essence cultivation was also enormous. If not for Luo Chinchio's cultivation, A normal weak water cultivator would not be able to display such power. A golden three-legged bird the size of a human flashed out from Luo Qianqiu's sun-like radiance, flapping its flaming wings and letting out a sharp cry as it tore through the air. Although it was only a flame, its speed was too fast, causing a sound similar to the cry of a bird as it cut through the air. Such a fast speed was completely unexpected to Yang Cheng. Although he tried his best to avoid it, one of the bird's wings still managed to burn his arm. Yang Cheng couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. His arm felt as if it had been doused with kerosene. The flesh on his arm turned red, bleeding, and rupturing. Logically speaking, even if it was really kerosene, it shouldn't be able to cause any damage to his body. He hadn't felt this kind of heart-wrenching pain for many years. Fortunately, the endless resolve restoration scripture was able to quickly repair his skin, removing the necrotic flesh and regenerating fresh red flesh. But this was only for a moment. If he were to be baptized like this again, he might not be able to withstand it, as expected of the mystical flame of an ancient divine beast. Yang Cheng once again experienced the feeling of there being mountains beyond mountains. Because he had comprehended the heavenly fire, he did not fear the Li fire, true Samadhi fire, or karmic fire. But this mystical flame was completely foreign to him. This was equivalent to an unfamiliar Tao that he was unable to fully comprehend, so he would naturally be injured by it. Luo Qianqiu saw that Yang Cheng's body was recovering so quickly and revealed a trace of surprise. But he did not slow down in the slightest and continued to attack. Golden Crow Insight, 10,000 birds facing the ancestor. Vigorous true essence spread out, and from the dazzling golden crow sun, a continuous stream of three-legged golden crows flew out, as if they had come out in full force. At a glance, there were more than 100 of them, and they flew towards Yang Cheng with sharp caws. The Luo family fort members in the distance, including Luo Qianli and the others, were incomparably terrified. Luo Xiaoxiao's face was filled with worry. The scene of golden flames filling the sky was simply too terrifying. Because it was difficult to meet a worthy opponent, they had never had the chance to see Luo Qianqiu reveal his true strength. They had never imagined that the patriarch's cultivation had reached such a shocking level. Chapter 1525. Yang Cheng did not have the time to think too much. After knowing that he could not fight these golden crows head-on, he tried to condense a huge black ice shield. The thick azure ice shield was easily shattered the moment it came into contact with the golden crows. Although it blocked one or two golden crows, it could not eliminate the danger in front of him. Yang Cheng was shocked and hurriedly escaped. However, the golden crows were extremely fast and had the advantage in numbers. He could not last long as he shuttled through them. Instead, he was controlled by them. Xiao Qi-Ching, who was below the chaos cauldron, was so frightened that her face turned pale. She shouted with all her might, "Hubby, keep the chaos cauldron. Don't care about me." She knew that if Yang Cheng had the chaos cauldron, he would be able to reduce the pressure by at least 30%. That was because the chaos cauldron could withstand a large number of attacks. However, Yang Cheng did not keep the chaos cauldron just in case. In reality, Yang Cheng was holding back his energy. It was not that he did not know that if he had the chaos cauldron, he would have a great chance of turning the situation around. However, Yang Cheng did not want to. That was because Luo Qianqiu had not used a single Dharma treasure. He was purely using his cultivation and Dharma arts to fight against him. If he relied on the chaos cauldron to fight against him, wouldn't that mean that he was at a disadvantage? He used the chaos cauldron to fight with other cultivators casually because Yang Cheng knew that the other party was not his match. There was no need to fight for anything. However, Luo Qianqiu was definitely an expert on par with him. Yang Cheng's desire to win made him not wish to rely on external objects to obtain victory. If he kept relying on the chaos cauldron to fight against experts, he would definitely not be able to make any breakthroughs in his cultivation. What Yang Cheng desired was to enter the Shang-Qing state one day. He needed an opportunity to reach the Grand Qing state full cycle, and battles with experts were a valuable experience. The three-legged golden crows brushed past Yang Cheng's body. Occasionally, a few of them would collide with each other, causing an intense explosion. This caused Yang Cheng's body to roll uncontrollably. From time to time, his body would be burned by the golden crow true fire, causing Yang Cheng to be in extreme pain. However, Yang Cheng did not give up. He continued to use his purple and blue flames to fight against the golden crow primordial fire. At the very least, Luo Qinxiu would not be able to deal any fatal damage to him, so Yang Cheng felt that there was still room for him to fight. In the end, the power of the golden crow could not surpass that of the heavenly fire. Therefore, it was still destroyed by Yang Cheng and turned into countless golden fireworks. But what made Yang Cheng depressed was that he couldn't break free from these hundreds of golden crows. Since he couldn't attack Luo Qinxiu's main body, all his struggles would be futile. On the contrary, even if he managed to destroy the golden crow, he would still be attacked by the other golden crows. Moreover, Luo Qinxiu's golden crow primordial fire seemed to be endless. The depth of his cultivation was truly unfathomable. This brat still hasn't used his treasures. He's too arrogant and conceited. The patriarch will definitely win. As expected of the number one person in our Luo family for thousands of years. To think that the three-legged golden crow scripture could have such power. It's a pity that we're not fated to comprehend it. This brat has killed so many of our family's experts. We should make sure he never reincarnate. The people of the Luo family fort already regarded Yang Cheng as a dead man. Everything he did was a dying struggle, a desperate struggle of a cornered beast. Meanwhile, Luo Xiaoxiao's hand was already at the side of her mouth, subconsciously biting down on her finger. Her heart was tense to the extreme. This scoundrel had clearly tried to hurt her time and time again. So why was she still so worried at the same time? In this perilous situation, Yang Cheng's heart was surprisingly calm as he tried to think of a countermeasure. There's no other way. I can only try that move. Although it's not stable yet, it might work with a thought. Yang Cheng gathered a ball of blood-red karmic fire and a ball of grayish-white weak water in his hands. Then, he fiercely slammed them together. Punk! Water and fire fused, and in an instant, a powerful corrosive force spread out from the inside out. It was as if two ferocious beasts were fighting and biting each other, neither giving way to the other. Yang Cheng's face twisted. He had tried to fuse the weak water and karmic fire before, but found that the fusion of the two would produce an extremely strong backlash. The corrosive force would pass through his yuan shan, causing him to suffer terrible pain, as if his soul was about to be torn apart. However, this did not mean that these two kinds of heavenly fire and mysterious water could not be fused. It was just that Yang Cheng felt it was not mature enough. But at this critical moment, seeing that the blue and purple flames were unable to cause any substantial damage to the golden crows, and the weak water could only corrode a small area, it was impossible to change the overall situation. So, he had no choice but to take the risk. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. After Yang Cheng had fused the two balls of energy, he roared to the sky. A dark gray flame suddenly sprang up in front of Yang Cheng, as if it wanted to connect the heavens and the earth, like a pillar of fire that reached the heavens. Standing in the middle of the ball of fire that was like the sun, Luo Qinxiu felt a deathly and decaying force coming at him. His yuan shan trembled, and a look of shock flashed in his eyes. Those hundreds of golden crows still relentlessly pursued Yang Cheng, the golden crow true fire leaving one fiery red wound after another on Yang Cheng's body. Yang Cheng's blood constantly dripped down and evaporated. It was a horrible sight to behold. It was also at this moment when his body and yuan shan were suffering pain that Yang Cheng suddenly had a strange kind of enlightenment. It was similar to the concept of putting one's life on the line in a hopeless situation, allowing Yang Cheng to endure the torture brought about by the dark flames. Finally, under Yang Cheng's control, a dark gray flame formed into several dark dragons that began to circle around Yang Cheng. Ga. The The golden crows collided with these dark flames, still unruly and unruly. It seemed as if they did not suffer much obstruction, but in reality, this was not the case. In the distance, Luo Chinchio, who was controlling these golden crows, began to show a pained expression. How can this be? Luo Chinchio clenched his fists tightly, his facial features twisted together and his eyes bloodshot. He discovered that every time the golden crows collided with the dark flames, a powerful corrosive force would be transmitted to him, tormenting his Yuan Shun. If this continued, before he could even kill Yang Cheng, he would first be corroded by this force, and his soul would be destroyed. Surrounded by the golden crows, Yang Cheng noticed that the golden crows were becoming slower and more hesitant, deliberately avoiding the dark flame dragons. He couldn't help laughing loudly. Although these three-legged golden crows were powerful, these dark flames seemed to be a strengthened version of weak water and karmic fire. Because the golden crows were fused with Luo Chinchio's divine sense and were under his control, as long as the dark flames touched the golden crows, they would transmit the Yuan Shun effects of the dark flames. If Luo Chinchio wanted to continue using the golden crows to deal with Yang Kai, he would have to stop controlling them and use them purely like the purple lightning from before. But if he did that, the three-legged golden crows would lose control, and it would be impossible for them to attack him from all sides like they did at the beginning. Sure enough, the number of golden crows dwindled, and they gradually dissipated in the air, turning into specks of golden light. The pressure on Yang Cheng abruptly lessened, and when he looked back at Luo Chinchio, he saw that the golden crow primordial fire around him was gradually being extinguished, no longer as glaring. The 1,000 Luo castle cultivators were shocked and frightened at this scene. That strange dark gray flame could actually defeat the golden crow primordial fire? Seeing Luo Chinchio's situation seemingly reversed in the blink of an eye, none of them dared to step forward to help him. In a battle of this level, they would die the moment they stepped forward, so they could only watch helplessly. Yang Cheng quickly used the endless resolve restoration scripture to repair his body. With the dark flames in hand, he was in a good mood. Sure enough, he could make breakthroughs in battle that he normally couldn't. After confirming that Xiao Qiqing was safe and sound, Yang Cheng's killing intent soared, and he prepared to use the dark flames to kill Luo Chinchio before searching for Luo Hang. But just as Yang Cheng was about to act, he discovered that Luo Chinchio's situation was a little strange. For some unknown reason, Luo Chinchio's hands were clutching his head, his body bent and twisted in the air. All the meridians in his body bulged and bulged as he let out hoarse, hysterical cries, as if he was in so much pain that he wished he were dead. And from within his body, there was a dark red gas, a substance filled with an evil aura, seeping out from his limbs and bones, even from the top of his head. "Father!" Seeing this from afar, Luo Xiaoxiao cried out in worry. The other Luo castle elders were also flabbergasted, whispering to each other in worry. Even Yang Cheng couldn't react. Logically speaking, he hadn't dealt any heavy blows to Luo Chinchio, and it was Luo Chinchio who took the initiative to stop. So why would he suddenly reveal such an expression? Moreover, the dark red, evil aura that was seeping out from Luo Chinchio's body, he seemed to have felt it somewhere before. Chapter 1526. Swan and I, Devil Blood. Yang Cheng suddenly remembered what this aura was, and remembered that when he was pretending to be Luo Lei, he had overheard that Luo Lei had secretly poisoned Luo Chinchio with his devil blood for 3 years. Now it seemed that the 3 years of devil blood had indeed taken effect. But didn't Luo Feng and the others say that it would take another 2 to 3 months? Yang Cheng's gaze subconsciously looked towards Luo Qinli in the distance. At this moment, this Luo family second master had a strange expression on his face. He did not seem very worried, but more puzzled. He had a complicated expression, as if he was looking forward to something, but also worried about something. Could it be that Luo Qinli also did not know why, but the toxicity of the Swan Knee's devil blood had taken effect prematurely? Yang Cheng's guess was not wrong. In reality, The Swan-Knees devil blood that the Shao family and Shao Mahui had obtained was left behind by the ancient vicious beast Swan-Ni after it was injured. Although he did not know where the Shao family's ancestors had obtained it, it had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, so it could not be fake. This Swan-Knees devil blood was not completely the blood essence of the Swan-Ni, but an extremely mysterious and powerful poison that the Shao family's ancestors had refined and fused with other poisons. For the majority of cultivators, especially experts like Luo Qinxiu, it was impossible for them to poison him, because he could easily detect all kinds of abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations in the surroundings. But the Swan-Knees devil blood, which had been modified by the Shao family's ancestors, could not be detected by someone like Luo Qinxiu. As Luo Qinxiu's closest servant, Luo Lei served Luo Qinxiu all year round and could enter and exit Luo Qinxiu's cultivation and living quarters. In these 3 years, Luo Lei had dripped drop after drop of Swan-Knees devil blood into the incense burner where Luo Qinxiu lived and cultivated. When the amount of Swan-Knees devil blood was controlled to a certain extent, it could not be detected when mixed into the incense, unless the amount was too much. Luo Qinxiu had continuously inhaled the incense mixed with Swan-Knees devil blood for 3 years, and when it reached a certain amount, the toxicity of the devil blood would appear. This devil blood could not kill him immediately, but its greatest effect was to corrode his soul, causing him to be infected by the vicious nature of the Swan-Knees devil blood, causing him to lose control of his reason and finally fall into cultivation deviation. It had to be said that this plan was originally perfect. Originally, it would have been impossible for Luo Feng and Luo Qianli to kill Luo Qinxiu. Making Luo Qinxiu's cultivation go berserk would undoubtedly save them the effort. Moreover, at that time, in order to prevent Luo Qinxiu from going berserk and recklessly killing people, everyone in the Luo family, including the grand elders of the Luo family, would kill him. It was even possible that Luo Qinxiu's primordial spirit would be damaged while he was cultivating, causing his mind to go into a state of confusion, and even causing his true essence to explode from within his body. There were 2 reasons why sorrowless Mahui had been willing to trade the Swanee demon blood. First, the requirements to use it were too harsh. It would take too long to use it on a strong opponent, and it would be a waste to use it on a weak opponent. Apart from killing people, it had almost no other use. Secondly, the Shao family also hoped that Luo Qinxiu would die. This way, the Luo family's strength would be greatly reduced. Of course, Luo Qianli and Luo Feng also knew this, but they did not care about it. As long as they could successfully seize power, it was not a big deal for the Luo family to be weak for a short period of time. With the Luo family's foundation, the other 2 families could not do anything to them. As the saying goes, the affairs of the world are hard to predict. It should have been a smooth sailing plan, but first Luo Lei had died, and now Luo Feng had also died. This Swanee demon blood had not even been able to use the last bit, and as it happened, during the battle, Yang Cheng had used his dark flame to stimulate Luo Qinxiu's primordial spirit, suddenly activating the power of the Swanee demon blood that was supposed to erupt 3 months later. Yang Cheng did not understand any of this, but he could confirm that the aura coming from Luo Qinxiu's body was definitely the aura of the Swanee demon blood. Luo Qinxiu's golden crow primordial fire had already been extinguished. His entire body twisted and writhed as he howled in the air, as if he had lost the ability to continue fighting. But Yang Cheng would not show any mercy to him just because he saw him like this. Not to mention what the Luo family had done to Xiao Qi-Qing. If he were to be affected by any poison during the battle, Luo Qinxiu would definitely not kindly let him off, saying something like, "We'll fight again another day." In a battle of life and death, any kind of mercy would be cruel to oneself. Yang Cheng deeply understood this principle, so he did not hesitate. He condensed a dark flame in his hand and prepared to rush towards Luo Qinxiu. "Don't hurt my father." Suddenly, a beautiful pink figure rushed over from the distance, blocking Luo Qinxiu's path. She glared angrily at Yang Cheng with her almond-shaped eyes. It was Luo Xiao Xiao. Of the more than 1,000 cultivators present, including Luo Qianli and the other members of the imperial family, no one dared to step forward to stop Yang Cheng and help Luo Qianxiu. Instead, it was the early divine transformation stage Luo Xiaoxiao who stepped forward. Yang Cheng's figure abruptly came to a halt. He stared blankly at the tearful little girl, at a loss for what to do. At a time like this, he would have killed anyone who tried to stop him. But Luo Xiaoxiao was different. Yang Cheng felt guilty towards her. Firstly, it was because he had misunderstood and hurt her. And secondly, it was because he owed Xiao Qiqing a debt of gratitude. Sure enough, he looked down at Xiao Qiqing, who was desperately shaking her head at him, hoping that he would not hurt Luo Xiaoxiao. "Move aside, I don't want to hurt you." Yang Cheng frowned. Luo Xiaoxiao sobbed and said bitterly, "Hurt? Haven't you already hurt me a few times? Now you want to kill my father, you big scoundrel. If you want to kill my father, I'll fight it out with you. I'm not afraid of you." The little girl's words were filled with the naivety and fearlessness of youth, but they were filled with the determination to die. Yang Cheng opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but it was as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. He was actually not someone who could not put down his pride. It was not impossible for him to apologize to the girl, but right now, he was in a life-and-death situation with Luo Qianxiu. Although Luo Qianxiu seemed to be on the verge of collapse, if he did not kill him, he would not be able to make Anshin. Suddenly, Luo Qianxiu, who had been bent over all this while, straightened his back with difficulty. Traces of black and red constantly flashed in his eyes, his killing intent surging to the heavens. However, Luo Qianxiu's willpower was incomparably terrifying. Perhaps it was because, as Luo Feng had said before he died, the Swan Knee's demonic blood still needed another 3 months or so to completely corrode Luo Qianxiu's primordial spirit. At this moment, Luo Qianxiu was still fighting against the demonic nature of the Swan and Eye, but because his cultivation was deep and he had not been corroded to the final step, he still retained a trace of clarity. Raising his head, he looked at the little girl who was standing in front of him without fear. She was like a delicate flower blooming alone in the cold night, elegant but not lacking in pride. Even someone as arrogant as Luo Qianxiu felt a trace of emotion in his eyes. So this was his daughter. How could she be so foolish? With such a weak cultivation, what was the point of helping him block it? However, this kind of heartwarming feeling made him feel a little intoxicated. He did not know when it started, but he believed that the great Tao was heartless, that the strong were respected, and that everything in the world was determined by one strength. The so-called familial love, friendship, and love were nothing more than erroneous thoughts that could not be controlled by reason. The bond between people was actually very fragile. A high-grade spirit pill could cause fellow Taoists to turn against each other. A family's wealth and power could cause blood brothers to hate each other to the bone. As one's cultivation grew higher and higher, these things were like fleeting clouds, losing all meaning. He pursued the supreme, heavenly Tao, indifferent to everything that he thought was a restraint. In order to successfully break through his shackles, he fought openly and covertly. It was only at this moment that he had a trace of a new understanding. Suddenly, a wondrous concept that he had never experienced before made Luo Qianxiu feel that the pain of the demonic blood on his primordial spirit was no longer as unbearable as before. All the meridians in his body felt like they were soaked in warm water, extremely comfortable. All of this actually happened in the blink of an eye, flashing through his mind. "Xiao, go away," Luo Qianxiu said in a low voice. "Father." Luo Xiao turned around in surprise, wanting to help Luo Qianxiu, but was pushed away by Luo Qianxiu. "Go." Luo Xiao, who had been pushed away by a gentle force, flew backwards a great distance. Her heart was filled with anxiety, but she did not dare to move forward. Luo Qianxiu finally stood up proudly, suddenly revealing a mysterious smile towards Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng instinctively felt that something was wrong. The Luo Qianxiu in front of him did not seem to have lost control, but rather seemed to have become even more unfathomable than before. So that's how it is. I've finally understood. A faint satisfied smile hung on Luo Qianqiu's face, unexpectedly not attacking Yang Cheng. Instead, he raised his head and spread out his arms, as if embracing the void. Traces of the demonic blood of the swan and I emitted from his body, but unlike before, it did not cause much damage to him. Instead, it meekly lingered around his body. This demonic blood of the swan and I contained the blood essence of the ancient vicious beast, Swan and I. Although it was pitifully small, it was truly valuable. At this moment, the remnant aura of the ancient vicious beast, Swan and I, seemed to have been tamed by Luo Qianqiu, becoming a part of his body. It had to be known that for heaven-defying existences like ancient divine beasts and vicious beasts, even a drop of their blood essence would contain their remnant souls. This was also why the demonic blood of the swan and I could disturb the primordial spirits of experts. Now that Luo Qianqiu had comprehended a higher level of the heavenly Tao, the remnant soul of the swan and I in the demonic blood seemed to have chosen to submit because it could no longer defeat Luo Qianqiu's primordial spirit. The remnant soul of the swan and I had actually fused with Luo Qianqiu's primordial spirit. Yang Cheng discovered that the true essence pressure that Luo Qianqiu exuded was even more majestic and powerful than before. Moreover, with the ferocious nature of the swan and I mixed in, its might was even greater than before. How could Yang Cheng allow Luo Qianqiu to completely recover and make another breakthrough? Without further thought, a dark flame howled out, piercing through the clouds towards Luo Qianqiu. But Luo Qianqiu did not dodge, instead chanting, "Heart Demon Divine Weapon." As he spoke, an illusory figure flew out from his body. Yang Cheng looked carefully. It was a figure that looked exactly the same as Luo Qianqiu, but it was a translucent Luo Qianqiu. It was like a clone of the main body. But in reality, this clone was inconceivably strong. Boom! As the dark flame-flying shuttle came into contact with the Heart Demon Divine Weapon, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. It did not cause much damage to the Heart Demon Divine Weapon, dispersing and disappearing just like that. Damn it! What is this thing? Yang Cheng was truly stunned. Luo Qianqiu was not surprised at all. Closing his eyes, he lightly said, 8 years ago, this seat's cultivation had already broken through the peak of the weak water realm, but this seat's realm was unable to enter the 9 heavens divine lightning tribulation, unable to use the 9 heavens divine lightning to temper my body. My physical body was unable to bear more cultivation, and the true essence of my body became increasingly saturated. As this seat was bitterly searching for it, in order to prevent the true essence of my body from becoming too strong and damaging my dantian and meridians, this seat used the excess true essence and my heart demon to refine an avatar, which is the Heart Demon Divine Weapon in front of you. This is this seat's only magic weapon, although it is currently only a high-grade magic weapon. As this Luo's cultivation continues to rise, it is bound to become a unique, heaven-defying, immortal weapon. Not to mention Yang Cheng. Even the other Luo castle cultivators present were dumbfounded. Luo Qianqiu's abnormal degree had actually reached such a level. His cultivation was so strong that his physical body could not bear it, so he simply used the excess cultivation and his heart demon to refine it into a magic weapon. Not to mention how he stripped away his heart demon for his own use. Just the depth of his cultivation could no longer be measured by the peak of the weak water realm. He had long since surpassed it. Boom, 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 boom. Just as everyone was stunned, in the sky, dark clouds had begun to roll. Strong winds began to blow, as if thousands of beasts were galloping, and thunder rumbled. Chapter 1527. Having experienced it once before, Yang Cheng was all too familiar with it. His mouth was filled with bitterness. It can't be. Luo Qianqiu is about to advance to the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation. Although he was at the great perfection of the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, his true essence might not be stronger than Luo Qianqiu's. Luo Qianqiu was able to fight evenly with him at the weak water realm. If he really succeeded in his tribulation, Wouldn't he be able to suppress him? Previously, Yang Cheng's physical fitness and cultivation were worlds apart from his current self. But the feeling of being struck by the Tai Ching heavenly lightning was still fresh in his memory. It was as if his soul had left his body. Yang Cheng wasn't sure if Luo Qinxiu could survive the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation. Previously, he had relied on the help of Poseidon and Apollo. Although it was limited, there were still others who helped him. Luo Qinxiu didn't seem to have any defensive magic treasures. The only magic treasure he had was the Heart Demon Divine weapon that he had refined himself. Did he intend to face it head-on? The thunderclouds in the sky began to form a vortex. Compared to Yang Cheng's previous Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation, it seemed to be relatively smaller. It only covered a radius of about 1 li. After all, the power of the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation varied according to the cultivation techniques of different cultivators. But even if it wasn't the strongest Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation, it was enough to make the other Luo castle cultivators tremble in fear. They all scattered in unison. They had never seen the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation before. Today, their horizons were broadened, and they felt a deep fear. As the one who initiated the tribulation, Luo Qinxiu couldn't hide. He didn't want to hide, and he didn't even care. There were many white jade towers of the Luo castle below him. These priceless white jade buildings would certainly be reduced to nothing when the tribulation came. But Luo Qinxiu didn't care about this, and the Luo castle people didn't have the time to think about this. When the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation descends, it will be your only chance to defeat me. If you don't make a move, I'm afraid you won't have a chance to leave. Luo Qinxiu said leisurely. He closed his eyes, waiting for Yang Cheng to make a move. Yang Cheng felt a sense of humiliation. Was Luo Qinxiu really so confident that he wouldn't be able to defeat him even when facing his tribulation? Could it be that the Tai Ching heavenly thunder had no lethality to him? As he spoke, the thundercloud vortex in the sky had already gathered into a dense net of purplish-blue lightning. With a rumbling sound, it condensed into a ball of violent lightning power. Suddenly, at this moment, Yang Cheng's mind was shaken. The chaos cauldron below actually transmitted a sense of excitement to him. Chaos cauldron? Yang Cheng suddenly remembered that when he came out of the Tower of Babel, it was the chaos cauldron that ate the 99 bolts of purple and blue heavenly lightning and turned them into his nourishment. What about the Tai Ching heavenly thunder? As an ancient ferocious beast, chaos was immortal and indestructible. Even the 9th heaven's divine thunder might not be able to harm him. Maybe he could even eat the divine thunder? Yang Cheng couldn't help but have a strange thought. If he used the primal chaos cauldron to eat the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, would Luo Qinxiu's tribulation fail? And he himself needed to comprehend the Tai Ching heavenly lightning. Perhaps this was an opportunity. Fight! Yang Cheng knew that this was the moment. Without giving him much time to think, he summoned the chaos cauldron and Xiao Qi-Ching into the sky. Yang Cheng hugged Xiao Qi-Ching tightly so that he could protect her. Then, he pushed the chaos cauldron into the sky. Luo Qinxiu and the spectators in the distance revealed looks of surprise. What was Yang Cheng trying to do? You want to spoil my plans? Luo Qinxiu didn't expect that Yang Cheng would not attack him. Instead, he wanted to stop the tribulation. Yang Cheng chuckled. You want to advance, but I won't let you. This Tai Ching heavenly lightning, just treat it as nourishment for my chaos cauldron. Don't even think about it. Demonic heart weapon, go. Luo Qinxiu was furious. The chaos cauldron was following him. It kept moving and it had to stay above him. Helpless, he could only command the demonic heart weapon to rush towards Yang Cheng, hoping to force Yang Cheng to retreat. Golden Crow True Fire. The demonic heart weapon's illusory body ignited with golden flames, dyeing the entire weapon golden. Following which, several 3-legged golden crows flew out from the demonic heart weapon and chased after Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng was astonished. This demonic heart weapon actually had the same ability as the main body, "Hubby, be careful," because the demonic heart weapon is separated from the main body's primordial spirit. It can only be controlled by spiritual energy. That's why Dark Flame's direct attack was ineffective. You can only use pure strength to defeat it. Xiao Qi-Ching, who was being carried, wasn't scared out of her wits. Instead, she quickly analyzed the reason for Yang Cheng's failure. Yang Cheng suddenly understood. Although it was a little inconvenient to carry a woman, the demonic heart weapon was not as powerful as the main body. It was a pity that his law of space was too weak and could be easily defeated. Otherwise, if he had half of Athena's ability, he could directly use tens of thousands of layers of space barriers to cut off space. And this demonic heart weapon would be uncontrollable. While thinking about this, Yang Cheng didn't stay idle. With a thought, he commanded 3 enormous purple fire dragons that seemed to ignite the sky. The dragons whizzed around his body and smashed the golden crows into pieces. For a time, sparks flew everywhere, and the purplish-blue thunderclouds in the sky were already at their peak. Finally, the first strike of the 3 rounds of Tai Ching heavenly lightning arrived. Boom! A thick pillar of Tai Ching heavenly lightning mixed with terrifying purplish-blue light dyed the sky and the earth, shattering everyone's eardrums and falling into the mortal world. Although it was 2 to 3 times weaker than what Yang Cheng had previously experienced, it still made Yang Cheng gasp in amazement. Perhaps, even if he comprehended the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, he wouldn't be able to use such power because he was still unable to match the heavenly Tao. Just at the moment when the Tai Ching heavenly lightning fell and touched the Chaos Cauldron, the Chaos Ferocious Soul let out a hearty roar. That fierce and desolate voice that came from ancient times was filled with greed and fanaticism. Although it was covered by the sound of the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, it could still reach Yang Cheng's mind. This Tai Ching heavenly lightning was actually eaten by the Chaos. The purplish-blue lightning converged into the Chaos Cauldron, and the Chaos Force merged with it. Then, it was worn down and turned into an extremely pure heaven and earth spiritual chi, causing the Chaos Cauldron to shine brightly. At the same time, Yang Cheng benefited. His cultivation, which was originally difficult to increase greatly, rose at an almost unimaginable speed. The dual cultivation with Anshin only increased his cultivation by 1%. But this Tai Ching heavenly lightning that fell from the heavenly tribulation increased Yang Cheng's cultivation by 6 to 7%, and the density of his true essence was greatly increased. As for Luo Qinxiu, the Chaos Cauldron blocked the heavenly tribulation. Only a small amount of the Tai Ching heavenly lightning fell on his body. With his cultivation, this bit of Tai Ching heavenly lightning was like a light breeze brushing against a mountain. In his anger, the Xinmo divine weapon began to shoot out purplish-red lightning bolts. But to Yang Cheng, this attack was nothing, and he easily neutralized it. Yang Cheng did not think of taking the opportunity to attack Luo Qinxiu's body. If he died, the Tai Ching heavenly lightning would stop, and he would not be able to gain any advantage. Subsequently, another even thicker and more powerful Tai Ching heavenly lightning descended amidst the rolling thunderclouds. Boom! The purplish-blue lightning enveloped the Chaos Cauldron once again, and more lightning fell on Luo Qinxiu's body. The Chaos Ferocious Soul ate heartily. More spiritual chi than before flowed into it, nourishing the Chaos Ferocious Soul and making it look even more lifelike and larger than before. Yang Cheng could feel that his cultivation had increased by 8 to 9%. This was another increase on his previous foundation. Before he fought with Luo Qinxiu, his cultivation was still halfway to the Shangqing heavenly lightning. But now, he was only left with less than half of it. Yang Cheng was overjoyed. With the Chaos Cauldron and the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, he did not have to worry about the slow growth of his cultivation. Others would need more than 10 years, but he only needed the opportunity to cultivate for a day. But at this moment, the angry Luo Qinxiu suddenly laughed hysterically. What a great Chaos Cauldron! Yang Cheng, I have to thank you for blocking the Tai Ching heavenly lightning for me. Otherwise, even if I were to be tempered by the heavenly lightning, I would still die. Now, only a small portion of this heavenly lightning has fallen on me. You've really helped me a lot." What? Yang Cheng's mind buzzed as he came to a sudden realization. This old fellow had been hoping that he would use the chaos cauldron to help him devour the majority of the heavenly lightning, but he had deliberately pretended to be angry. Had he been fooled by him again? Chapter 1528. It had to be said that Luo Qianqiu's plan was extremely risky, but every step of it was backed up by evidence. Primal chaos had an insatiable nature to devour all things. He had predicted that the moment the chaos cauldron sensed the descent of the divine lightning, it would want to devour it. So he made this gamble. And he pretended to be very angry just to let Yang Cheng feel proud, so that Yang Cheng would not think that he might not be able to withstand the divine lightning and obediently lend the chaos cauldron to him. Although Luo Qianqiu had been looking forward to the descent of the nine heavens lightning tribulation, he also knew that if he relied on his own strength to pass the tribulation, it would be dangerous. He was not like Yang Cheng, who could use the power of the divine lightning for his own use. He only needed the divine lightning to temper his body and comprehend the heavenly Tao, allowing him to step into a higher realm. So he did not need to consume all the divine lightning to pass the tribulation successfully. This was also why ancient cultivators needed magic treasures to pass the tribulation. For someone like Yang Cheng, who had the chaos cauldron and could use the divine lightning as a supplement, it was probably hard to find a second person like him. But in general, if Yang Cheng did not follow the will of the chaos, stubbornly not devouring the divine lightning, and instead attacked Luo Qianqiu, or let Luo Qianqiu fend for himself, the result would be very different. Yang Cheng's choice was calculated by Luo Qianqiu. Not only did he not kill him, he even helped him block the divine lightning. Of course, Yang Cheng also gained some benefits, but he also lost the best opportunity to kill him. This was inseparable from Yang Chen's personality. Subconsciously, Yang Chen still didn't like to take advantage of others when they were down. He didn't mind dealing with the weak, but when it came to dealing with experts, Yang Chen preferred to conquer them with absolute strength, rather than taking advantage of their weakness to kill them. A person's personality would always have its shortcomings, and Yang Cheng was no exception. Seeing that the third and final Tai Ching heavenly lightning was about to descend, Yang Cheng was somewhat at a loss. Should he continue to use the chaos cauldron to absorb the divine lightning, or let Luo Qianqiu take the full blow? Or should he take the opportunity to kill Luo Qianqiu? But would that be equivalent to giving up on the last divine lightning? Also, why did Luo Qianqiu not wait for the third divine lightning to end before telling him all this? What scheme does he have? Yang Cheng hesitated. Perhaps it was because he had been deceived by Luo Qianqiu time and time again, or perhaps he was somewhat fearful of Luo Qianqiu's endless methods, or perhaps he coveted the divine lightning but wanted to restrain it. A complicated thought made Yang Cheng frown. He stood under the thunderclouds in a daze, watching from afar. However, he did not move. Xiao Qiqing noticed Yang Cheng's strange behavior and shouted anxiously, "Hubby, what are you doing? Don't listen to his nonsense. Just do what you want to do." However, Yang Cheng was completely immersed in his own world at this moment. He turned a deaf ear to Xiao Qiqing's words. What should I do? What is Luo Qianqiu thinking? Yang Cheng was at a loss. He subconsciously controlled the purple flames to surround his body, but he did not attack, nor did he retreat. In the middle of the thunderclouds, Luo Qianqiu's lips curled into a strange smile. It seemed to be disdain and disdain, but there was also a trace of inexplicable arrogance. Yang Cheng's hesitation did not affect the Chaos Cauldron's desire for the Tai Ching heavenly lightning. It also did not slow down the descent of the Tai Ching heavenly lightning. Finally, the third and most majestic bolt of divine lightning fell. Boom! The purple and blue light once again illuminated the world, as if it was daytime. In the blink of an eye, the place where the Chaos Cauldron and Luo Qianqiu stood was filled with light. The lightning beam had razed the entire Luo family fort to the ground. The jade stones were smashed into powder and gravel. There was even a huge pit left, as if it had been hit by a meteorite. Yang Cheng felt a wave of pure spiritual energy enter his body and transform into his own cultivation. It was almost equivalent to the previous 2 bolts of divine lightning combined. Under the chaos cauldron, Luo Qinxiu, who had endured more Tai Ching heavenly lightning than before, did not seem to be too tired. Instead, there was a trace of ecstasy on his face. Luo Qinxiu's physical body had undergone a qualitative leap. A brand new realm had allowed his true essence to become more profound. Haha, I did it. Luo Qinxiu raised his hands in disbelief and clenched them into fists. A copious and powerful true essence surged out like an enormous shockwave, causing the surrounding sand and dust that flew into the air and even the stones on the ground to be blasted away for a radius of 500 m. The Luo family fort cultivators in the distance could still feel the terrifying pressure of the true essence, and all of them revealed looks of horror. Luo Qinli's eyes revealed a trace of despair. It seemed that he would never be able to defeat his elder brother. Even looking at him now caused fear to grow in his heart. Yang Cheng held Xiao Qi-Qing in his arms. He raised his head and looked at the brand new Luo Qinxiu, not saying a word. In the end, he did not make a choice. But without a doubt, he had helped Luo Qinxiu effortlessly pass the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation. Although his cultivation had grown by leaps and bounds, the Luo Qinxiu in front of him was also in the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation. Moreover, the other party's true essence was not inferior to his own. At this moment, after calming down, Yang Cheng knew that he had been tricked. Before the 3rd bolt of lightning, Luo Qinxiu had said those words in order to make him fall into a dilemma, to make him think more, so that he would not suddenly remove the chaos cauldron or attack him. Thinking about it carefully, even a bystander like Xiao Qi-Qing could see that something was fishy. But because he was struggling to improve his cultivation or to choose to gamble and kill Luo Qinxiu, he was hesitating. His thoughts had been seen through by Luo Qinxiu. From this point, he had been utterly defeated. Luo Qinxiu arrogantly looked at Yang Cheng, his hands clasped behind his back. You've lost. Yang Cheng, you're still too young. In a battle between experts, victory and defeat is decided in a single thought. Because I disturbed your Tao heart, you've been defeated prematurely. Originally, your cultivation level was higher than mine, and you had the heavenly fire and mysterious water to fight with me. But now, your cultivation level is almost the same as mine, and my true essence is stronger than yours. You can't possibly win against me. Yang Cheng knew that this was a verbal attack, because no matter what, his cultivation had grown by a lot, and he had not completely lost. But as long as he thought about how he had been played in the palm of his hand, he couldn't help but be enraged. Flues? That's not necessarily true. Although you've successfully passed the tribulation, I've also tasted great benefits. My true essence cultivation might not necessarily lose to yours. And even if you enter the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation, what can you do? Can you control the heavenly fire and mysterious water? Your golden crow-true fire and cloud-piercing purple lightning can only cause superficial wounds to me. But do you dare have a taste of my dark fire? Luo Qinxiu's eyes darkened, a little flabbergasted. Yang Cheng hadn't fallen for his trap, and his momentum hadn't weakened at all. Although he was a deep schemer and incomparably cunning. Thinking that Yang Cheng was only in his 20s, and no matter how unparalleled his cultivation talent was, he would still have the weaknesses of youth, such as carelessness, hesitation, insatiable greed, and so on. But he had underestimated one thing, and that was that due to his unique experiences growing up, in Yang Cheng's eyes, there was no way he would take the initiative to admit defeat. Even if he had been played around with by Athena, Yang Cheng had only thought that as long as there was life, there would be hope. He hadn't really admitted defeat. Now that he was facing Luo Qinxiu, he wasn't like Athena who didn't have the strength to resist at all. So how could Yang Cheng be easily thrown into confusion by a few words? In terms of battle experience, Luo Qinxiu couldn't compare with High Official Yang. Seeing this scene, Xiao Qiqing also let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, Yang Cheng had adjusted himself in time. Otherwise, if he had been defeated twice in a row and his will had sunk, that would have been far from good. Luo Qinxiu was so angry that he laughed. Good. Seeing that you're so confident, then this king will show you the disparity between us. Heart Demon Divine Weapon combine. With Luo Qinxiu's order, the Heart Demon Divine weapon instantly retracted and combined with Luo Qinxiu's body. Suddenly, Luo Qinxiu's true essence pressure began to rise again, becoming more than 3 times stronger than before. Even though Yang Cheng had already stabilized his state of mind, he couldn't help but be surprised. This abnormal Luo Qinxiu actually had such a trick up his sleeves. The demonic heart divine weapon was originally a part of my true essence storage. Now that I've entered the Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder realm, my true essence can once again be greatly expanded. The demonic heart divine weapon has become one with me, and that is my true cultivation. What can you do to me? Luo Qinxiu arrogantly laughed. Yang Cheng coldly snorted. Without another word, with a thought, he controlled the chaos cauldron that was spinning in the air and sent it flying towards Luo Qinxiu's body. No matter how strong your true essence cultivation is, the stronger you are after crossing your tribulation, the better. I'll eat you up, and you'll continue to be my great tonic. Chapter 1529. Luo Qinxiu was indeed shocked. He thought that after he merged with the Heart Demon weapon, his power would be able to make Yang Cheng apprehensive. He did not expect that this kid did not even consider it. In fact, he did not know that Yang Cheng had already seen the power of the Heart Demon weapon in the 10,000 Demon realm. Although Luo Qinxiu's ability to separate the Heart Demon weapon was mysterious, devil cultivators cultivated the Heart Demon weapon together with their body. There were all kinds of Heart Demon techniques that could instantly increase their strength. In a sense, Luo Qinxiu's method of using the Heart Demon weapon as a magical weapon and true essence storage device could only be considered as a type of technique. Because to put it bluntly, the true essence that the Heart Demon weapon possessed was also a part of his body and not an additional boost. Devil cultivators treated the Heart Demon weapon as a part of their cultivation. When they fought with their lives on the line, they could suddenly burst forth with greater strength and were obviously more skilled. It should have been this strong, but it was just that they had merged into one. It was not like devil cultivators that could increase their cultivation in an instant, so how could Yang Cheng take it seriously? The Chaos Cauldron had expanded by more than 2 times compared to before it had eaten the 3 bolts of lightning. At this time, it had grown to its limit and was as large as a house. The Chaos Cauldron seemed to have smelled that Luo Qinxiu was a delicious glutton. It opened its bloody mouth and struggled out of the cauldron, biting towards Luo Qinxiu. Luo Qinxiu felt a strong suction force coming from the Chaos Cauldron. He wanted to fly out of the Chaos Cauldron's range, but found it difficult. Great overarching heavenly hand seal. Luo Qinxiu raised one hand towards the sky, and a mysterious rune shone with 5 colors. In an instant, it condensed into a huge hand seal that was several tens of feet wide. The 5 fingers glowed with the power of the 5 elements, and true essence surged out like a flood. The Chaos Cauldron slammed into the center of the hand seal. The vile soul paused for a moment and tried to break through. But at the same time, Luo Qinxiu escaped the huge suction force and attacked Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng did not dare to get too close to him because he was carrying Xiao Qiqing in one hand. He controlled the 2 purple fire dragons to attack Luo Qinxiu from afar. As the long dragon moved back and forth, the destructive purple flames it brought with it gradually grew thicker and thicker, condensing and becoming more and more vigorous and blazing. Luo Qinxiu was enraged, but he did not dare to rashly touch it. His entire body flashed with purple lightning, and his speed suddenly increased, allowing him to escape the pincer attack of the 2 fire dragons. Golden Crow Scripture, scorching sun rain of fire. Luo Qianqiu's body once again blazed with powerful Golden Crow true fire, as if he was a giant fireball. But this time, what shot out from the fireball were not golden crows, but a dense rain of fire. The speed of the rain of fire condensed by the Golden Crow true fire was far beyond Yang Cheng's imagination. In the blink of an eye, it had already covered him and Xiao Qi-Cheng. The fiery rain, with astonishing penetrative power, also smashed the two purple fire dragons into pieces, and they unwillingly dissipated in the air. Yang Cheng propped up a true essence shield, and then condensed a weak water barrier, blocking the rain of fire outside. But this was not a long-term solution. Fortunately, he could still control the Chaos Cauldron. Yang Cheng immediately summoned it over, fiercely covering Luo Qianqiu's position. Luo Qianqiu was already prepared, separating out a dense rain of Golden Crow true fire to shake away the Chaos Cauldron. This actually caused the Chaos Cauldron to be unable to gather again for a short period of time, constantly roaring as if it was extremely angry. After advancing to the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning Tribulation, Luo Qianqiu's Golden Crow Scripture had also greatly improved, its power even more astonishing. Yang Cheng was a bit depressed. If he had already comprehended the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning, then he would definitely be able to strike this Luo Qianqiu to the point that his parents wouldn't be able to recognize him. But he had just absorbed 3 bolts of divine lightning, and although he had some insights, he still had not fully comprehended it. Moreover, he still needed to protect Xiao Qi-Cheng. If this battle continued, it would not be easy to determine victory or defeat in a short period of time, and it might even attract other troubles. Great overarching Heaven 5 Elements Array. Suddenly, Luo Qianqiu summoned 5 brilliant lights, forming 5 dots of light from 5 different directions. Each dot of light expanded in an instant, forming a 5 stars array, enveloping Yang Cheng within it. Yang Cheng was stunned. What kind of mystic art is this? Why does this guy have so many moves? Without waiting for him to think carefully, this 5 stars array had already flashed with a 5-colored fatal light, spinning at high speed, forming a tornado that was rapidly contracting. Only then did Yang Cheng understand the power of this mystic art. For a moment, his vision was filled with the 5-colored light blades of the storm, and he couldn't see what was happening outside. He definitely couldn't let himself be surrounded by this storm. Yang Cheng summoned the Chaos Cauldron and started to frantically absorb the energy from the tornado. As expected, the speed of the tornado slowed down, and Yang Cheng took the opportunity to condense a ball of purple flames. He fiercely bombarded the tornado in front of him and broke through it. Just as he broke through the encirclement, the Golden Crow fire rain outside came sweeping over again. After Yang Cheng blocked all of them, he suddenly saw a blazing golden spear flying towards him. Golden Crow Insight, Golden Crow Divine Spear. Obviously, Luo Qianqiu had already calculated the position where Yang Cheng would come out and was waiting for this moment. Condensing a large amount of Golden Crow true fire into this blazing spear, its power could be imagined. Yang Cheng's weak water barrier was not prepared to receive such a powerful single-target attack. Unable to dodge in time, Yang Cheng subconsciously moved his back in front of the woman. Boom! At the same time that the Golden Crow Divine Spear destroyed the weak water barrier, the remaining half of it broke through Yang Cheng's true Qi barrier, and a full half of its power landed on Yang Cheng's body. If Yang Cheng's body was not heaven-defying, this attack would have turned him into ashes. Hubby, Xiao Qi-Cheng felt a piercing golden light in front of her and cried out in alarm. Pooh! Yang Cheng's response was to spit out a mouthful of blood, splashing it on the woman's face. Yang Cheng felt as if his internal organs were on fire. From his back to his spine, all the way to the back of his head, Yang Cheng felt numb from the heat. His mind even went blank for a short period of time. It had been too long since someone had been able to give Yang Cheng a true killing blow like this. Yang Cheng was not used to it, and did not even dare to believe it. Someone that could do this definitely had the chance to kill him. Oh, you didn't die even after this. The endless resolve restoration scripture is truly marvelous. Luo Chinchio revealed a greedy expression, sneering. If you left that woman behind, you might have the strength to fight me. But if you bring her along, you have no chance of winning. Yang Chung angrily turned around, and with a wave of his hand, a dark flame roared towards Luo Chinchio like a lion. Luo Chinchio instantly sprinkled down a rain of golden crow fire, scattering the dark flames. The dark flames were unable to touch him and posed no threat to him. Even if you absorb a portion of the divine lightning, your true essence is still not as strong as mine. Even if you have heavenly fire and profound water, I have golden crow true fire. Even if I am slightly weaker, your attacks will not be able to pose a threat to me. I still have a myriad of wondrous methods that can beat you until you are helpless. Although your chaos cauldron is powerful, it has not recovered to its peak, and your cultivation is limited, so you cannot use it to catch me. When I cross the 9 heavens divine, lightning tribulation, just now, the entire dreamland will shake. Once those people find out the reason, it won't be long before our Luo family's grand elder arrives. At that time, you'll have nowhere to run. I advise you to hand over the endless resolve restoration scripture, and, as the patriarch, I will leave you and your woman a way out. I, Luo Chinchio, will swear in front of the entire Luo family that I will keep my word. How about it? Yang Cheng's internal injuries were rapidly healing, but he had also suffered some damage to his vitality. When he heard Luo Chinchio's words, he grinned, revealing a few blood-red teeth. You've already advanced to the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning, so why are you still staring at my cultivation technique? A good cultivation technique is naturally the more the better. This seat is very interested in how you cultivated your body to such a state. Luo Chinchio narrowed his eyes. Yang Chung calculated in his heart. If this continued, his chances of winning would become smaller and smaller. He had failed miserably today. He had not expected Luo Chinchio to have one trump card after another. His purpose for coming here was to save Xiao Qiqing. As for the matter of revenge, he would wait until Xiao Qiqing was safe and he comprehended the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning. Then, he would have a 90% chance of success. Having made up his mind, Yang Chung immediately summoned the Chaos Cauldron and planned to use it as a defensive cushion while he escaped with Xiao Qiqing. But just as he was about to move, he felt that something was wrong. There were 6 unfamiliar and powerful true essence pressuring towards him from all directions, and all of them had at least a cultivation of the weak water realm or above. Luo Chinchio revealed a trace of pride. What? You want to leave? 6 of my Luo family's grand elders have come down. How can you escape? Chapter 1530. Yang Cheng's face instantly darkened, and Xiao Qiqing, who was in his arms, also looked at him worriedly. Her eyes flashed with self-blame, feeling that she had dragged the man down. However, Yang Chung lowered his head and smiled brightly at the woman, stroking her hair. Don't think too much. I will definitely protect you. I promised you. Oh, you still have the mood to flirt with me. Luo Chinchio sneered. As they spoke, the 6 experts at the middle stage of the weak water realm and above had already appeared in 6 directions around Yang Chung, maintaining a distance of several hundred meters. However, for experts of this level, a few hundred meters was practically no distance. Yang Chung swept his gaze across them. There were 3 middle-aged men, 2 old men, and a middle-aged woman. Among them, the woman with light makeup but a cold expression, and the other old man in a dark blue robe with gray hair draped over his shoulders, had the highest cultivation. They were already at the peak of the weak water realm like Luo Chinchio, and could break through the last step of the weak water realm at any time and advance to the 9 heavens divine lightning tribulation. The other 4 were all in the middle stage of the weak water realm and could reach the late stage at any time. They were about the same as Xiao Tingsu. The Luo clan's foundation was immediately revealed. Yang Chung believed that these were not all the supreme elders of the Luo clan. They were most likely cultivating closer to each other. The Luo clan castle was already in an uproar. A sense of glory for the clan filled these Luo clan castle cultivators with confidence. They felt that Yangcheng would definitely not be able to escape this calamity. The six supreme elders looked at Yangcheng with a strange expression for a while, then looked at the spiraling primal chaos cauldron in surprise, and then swept their gazes towards Luo Qinxiu. Qinxiu, you advance to the Tai Ching divine lightning. The old man at the peak of the weak water realm asked. Luo Qinxiu bowed respectfully to the old man. Yes, grandfather, I just had some enlightenment and crossed that hurdle. This old man was actually Luo Qinxiu's grandfather, Luo Changchun. Yangcheng remembered that Su Xian had once mentioned that Luo Qinxiu's bloodline had replaced Luo Feng's bloodline when his grandfather Luo Changchun was still alive. It could be said that Luo Qinxiu's present achievements were largely due to his grandfather's efforts. It was no wonder that even though Luo Qinxiu's cultivation had surpassed his grandfather's by quite a bit, he was still extremely respectful towards him. We actually let you pass this hurdle first. Looks like us old fellows are useless, the eerie woman said with a cold snort. There was a hint of jealousy in her voice. Luo Qinxiu chuckled. Granny Qinxiang watched Qinxiu grow up. She is the cornerstone of my Luo family. Qinxiu was just lucky to be where he is today, is all thanks to Granny's teachings when I was young. Luo Qinxiu's age wasn't young, but facing these old fellows, he very naturally displayed the attitude of a junior. It was because these people were too old, but they still seemed a little strange. Luo Qinxiang, who was also this old woman, felt slightly relieved after hearing this. She couldn't deny it and gave an affirmative grunt, glancing at Yangcheng, who was surrounded in the middle. What's going on with this brat? His cultivation is unfathomable. And that giant cauldron, could it be the legendary primal chaos cauldron recorded in the ancient texts? It should be the primal chaos cauldron. This brat doesn't look that old, but he actually has this level of cultivation. Also, that woman in his embrace should have the 9 meridians, a good vessel for testing pills. Qinxiu, why aren't you giving us an explanation? Luo Changchun said. These old fellows were all shrewd people and could see through the clues at a glance. However, they had lived outside for a long time and had no idea what was going on in the family, so they had to ask Luo Qinxiu. Of course, everyone's nerves were stretched taut, guarding against Yangcheng's sudden escape and attack. Luo Qinxiu gave a simple explanation of the matter, pointing out that Yangcheng had killed Luo Feng and Luo Lei, killed a large number of Luo family experts, and robbed the alchemy room. As soon as he said this, the Grand Elder's eyes became dark and fierce, wishing that they could skin Yangcheng and tear his bones apart. The Ning family and the Xiao family don't dare to become enemies with my Luo family. How come this old man, who has been in seclusion for more than 50 years, was bullied by a junior the moment I came back? Qinxiu, how are you the head of the family? Luo Changchun reprimanded. Luo Qinxiu lowered his head and said, this brat's cultivation technique is very mysterious. He can use the heavenly fire profound water, and its power surpasses our Luo family spells. He's not easy to deal with. Hearing this, the elders were even more surprised, and greed appeared on their faces. No need to talk nonsense. Capture this brat, cripple his cultivation, and force him to reveal his cultivation technique. Then, capture the woman with the 9 meridians and use her to test the pills. The key is the Chaos Cauldron. According to the ancient records, it has a complete chaos evil spirit sealed inside. It is an ancient treasure that surpasses immortal weapons. If we bring it to our Luo family, and with Qinxiu stepping into the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation, it won't be difficult to unify the illusory realm. An elder said, that's right. This time, I've seen something good that is worthy of us making a move. Luo Qinxiang smiled sinisterly. This brat's cultivation is not inferior to ours, and the Chaos Cauldron is troublesome. Why don't we make a move together and make him unable to fight back? The other elders looked at each other and nodded their heads bluntly, feeling that this was how it should be. Yangcheng listened to these people's conversation from the center, and sparks flew in his head. This group of old farts simply didn't care about face at all. Added together, they could be more than 2,000 years old, and they still planned to surround him. In fact, it was precisely because these supreme elders were all old and experienced that they didn't care about the views of the secular world. To them, bullying the weak and wanting to save face was already meaningless. Their goal was to fight for all the time, obtain the greatest resources, and pursue longevity and strength. This old man and Qinxiang will attack him. The four of you surround and restrict the Chaos Cauldron. Qinxiang will attack with us and finish the battle quickly, Luo Changchun commanded. There's no need for you to say more. Grandma Luo Qinxiang had already flown towards Yangcheng. Her entire body surged with the true essence of the peak of the weak water realm. Her Luo Tian scripture was even more profound than Luo Qinxiang's. Ink Dragon's secret art, Twin Dragon Dance. A black whirlpool erupted from Luo Qinxiang's body. It was actually a kind of strange black water. It carried a strong cold power, which was extremely similar to her own aura. The two black water dragons opened their huge jaws and attacked Yangcheng. Yangcheng opened his weak water shield, condensed two blue fire dragons, and met them head-on without showing any weakness. After the blue fire corroded the black water dragons in an instant, it attacked Luo Qinxiang with its remaining power. But Luo Qinxiang had already dodged. She took out a 3-foot flying sword with a burst of cold light. There was even a red crack in the middle of the sword body. Eat my ghost weeping sword. Luo Qinxiang leaped up and waved the ghost weeping sword. An invisible sword blade wave shot out, forming a violent shockwave. After Yangcheng's weak water shield blocked the shockwave, he heard an ear-piercing wave. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Xiao Qiqing apparently also heard this sound wave. She screamed, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of her mouth. Yangcheng was furious. This ghost-weeping flying sword actually not only emitted sword chi, but also a sound wave attack. It really lived up to its name. In this way, he couldn't even defend. He had to avoid it. Otherwise, Xiao Qiqing wouldn't be able to withstand so many attacks. But before Yangcheng could think further, a large number of magnificent and heavy true essence bodies suddenly condensed in the air. At first glance, there seemed to be more than 100 of them. They were more than 2 feet wide and hung high in the air. Sinking star, falling thunder. Luo Changchun had already cast a spell. His eyes emitted a dazzling light. His big hand fell, and those hundreds of magnificent true essence balls were like falling stars, pressing down on Yangcheng. Yangcheng roared and burst out a violent purple fire, smashing those true essence balls around him. He then directed the Chaos Cauldron to envelop Luo Qinxiang, who was closer. How dare you? You actually won't surrender? Luo Qinxiang's face was full of anger. The ghost weeping sword swept up a sword flower. Ink Dragon skill, congealing ink. A black mist like misty rain suddenly filled the air. After the Chaos Cauldron was enveloped, it slowed down for a moment. After the Chaos Cauldron was sucked in, Luo Qinxiang broke free from a suction force. Following that, Luo Qinxiang consecutively brandished dozens of sound wave blades. The ear-piercing fluctuations caused Yangcheng to hurriedly dodge in a sorry state. Because he was carrying Xiao Qiqing, Yangcheng could have fought head-on, but now he became timid. His heart was filled with anger. Of course, it was because of his own incompetence, not because of a woman. Seeing that the situation was about right, Luo Qinxiang sneered and moved behind Yangcheng. The three-legged golden crow quintessence was ignited once more. Like a sun, it illuminated the heavens and earth. Golden crow quintessence, myriad birds greeting the ancestor. Another hundreds of golden crows were released. Yangcheng was no longer dealing with him alone. The situation was getting more and more dangerous. Chapter 1531. In the sky, Luo Changchun was constantly activating a large number of sinking stars, making it difficult for Yangcheng to move and constantly being bombarded. And Luo Qinxiang's black water and sound waves were constantly disturbing Yangcheng, leaving him no time to command the Chaos Cauldron. This time, under the indiscriminate bombardment of the golden crow true fire, Yang Cheng's weak water shield began to be unable to hold on because he had been continuously attacked too many times and appeared to be exhausted. The surging true essence shockwaves, with Yang Cheng as the starting point, constantly vibrated, and the sky was filled with strange and dazzling scenes, like countless deadly fireworks. The Luo castle cultivators watching this scene from afar were trembling with excitement, but they also somewhat admired that under such an attack, Yang Cheng, with a woman in tow, could still persist and not be defeated. Luo Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, clenched the corner of her clothes, her eyes glistening with tears. She felt confused, but powerless, as if she would suffocate at any time. She did not know why she was like this. Clearly that man had hurt her time and time again, and even almost killed her once. But she did not know why. The more it was like this, the deeper the fetters were. Yang Cheng felt that his true essence was becoming more and more chaotic, and his meridians were swollen. This was because the opponent's cultivation was not much different from his own, and even more than his own, causing him great pressure. If it were not for his heaven-defying physical fitness, if it were any other cultivator, he would have been torn apart by 5 horses. This was a very bad sign. Although he relied on the powerful weak water and Lan Hua to defend, and used the Chaos Cauldron to disrupt the rhythm of the attacks of the 3 people, but it did not have a fundamental effect. If this went on, sooner or later, because his true essence could not be replenished in time, or his energy weakened, he would make a mistake and be defeated. What worried him even more was that there were still 4 weak water middle stage elders who had not made a move. Even if he did not bring Xiao Qi-Ching, he was afraid that he would not be able to resist the joint encirclement of these 7 people. What should he do? Yang Cheng suddenly felt that he was already very close to death. Very close. At the same time, far to the southwest of the Luo Castle, in a black forest more than 100 miles away, Ning Zhengfeng stood in the middle of a wet black land with a complicated expression, waiting for something quietly. Behind him were 4 cultivators with unfathomable cultivation bases, dressed in simple and unadorned robes. They were sitting quietly at 4 different points. There were 2 men and 2 women, and they all looked middle-aged. There were also more than a dozen other cultivators of the dark water stage, stationed around nervously. At this moment, an extremely ordinary-looking aqua water stage cultivator quietly descended from the sky, arrived in front of Ning Zhengfeng, and knelt on one knee. This person was the spy that the Ning family had sent to the Luo family. There were thousands of people in the Luo family, and the cultivators had a lot of freedom to come and go. It was inevitable that there would be spies planted by the Xiao family and the Ning family. In fact, this was the case for every family. Why are you so late? What's the situation? What has happened? Ning Zhengfeng asked unhappily. The spy replied, Patriarch, please forgive me. The situation just now was too shocking. Luo Qianxiu just successfully broke through and stepped into the 9 heavens' heavenly lightning tribulation. The spy's voice was trembling, and there was still some lingering fear in his heart. As soon as these words came out, the cultivators of the Ning family behind him all showed a look of shock. The 2 men and 2 women sitting quietly also frowned. Ning Zhengfeng's expression was uncertain, and finally sighed, How is Yang Cheng? The situation is not good. He shouldn't be able to hold on. The Luo family suddenly sent 6 supreme elders, and among them, there seems to be Luo Chenxiang, who was famous hundreds of years ago, and the previous patriarch, Luo Changchun. The other elders are also experts who have been famous for more than 100 years. Now Yang Cheng may not be able to deal with Luo Qianxiu alone. Now that he is surrounded, although he is defending, it is only a matter of time before he is killed or captured. The corner of Ning Zhengfeng's mouth twitched, and he gritted his teeth. In the end, he waved his hand and said, Got it, go back to the Luo family. Don't let anyone discover anything. Yes. The spy immediately flew into the sky and left. Ning Zhengfeng looked up at the sky and thought for a while, then turned around and said to the 2 men and 2 women, For Supreme Elders, it seems that I made the four of you come here for nothing, Ning Feng said apologetically. One of the female elders said, it's not a waste of time. Knowing that Luo Qinqiu can advance, it means that we have a chance. However, the Luo family's strength will go up another level in the future. Zheng Feng, you have to be careful. That's right, a male elder said slowly. We know that your thoughts are on the secular world, but as the patriarch, cultivation is also very important. Learn more from your sister Ruoju. That girl seems to be the biggest hope of our younger generation to fight against Luo Qinqiu. Ning Zhengfeng's face twitched a few times, and he forced a smile. Zhengfeng thanks Elder for your teachings. I won't dare to forget. The four elders didn't say much. They knew that if it was only 6 Supreme Elders, the 4 of them had a high chance of saving Yangcheng. But with Luo Qinqiu and the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning Tribulation, there was a high chance that he would die. This was not worth it. Thus, without waiting for Ning Zhengfeng to speak, he had already flown away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Ning Zhengfeng's face darkened, and he angrily swung out a ray of platinum true essence, shattering a dozen towering ancient trees, shaking the forest. Patriarch, are we giving up just like this? A dark water stage, confidant walked up and asked unwillingly. Ning Zhengfeng said in a low voice, if we don't give up, are we going to die just to give Yangcheng a favor? Go, return to the mansion. With that, Ning Zhengfeng took the lead and flew away. The group of Ning family cultivators thought that they were going to have a big fight, and even the 4 Supreme Elders were called back, but they didn't expect to be happy for nothing, and they returned to the Ning family with their tails between their legs. Yangcheng, who was surrounded, didn't know that he originally had a chance to escape, because the Ning family planned to take advantage of him being surrounded to get a favor. But he didn't expect that Luo Qinqiu's heaven-defying breakthrough would mess up the situation. But Yangcheng didn't plan to rely on anyone's help. He risked his life to save Siyao Qi-Qing, and he was already mentally prepared for this. But when he thought that he was going to die here with his woman, he was also unwilling. He still had a wife and child at home, and he was going to be killed by a group of shameless old men. What was this? His body was getting more and more out of control, and every time he gathered the power of heaven and earth, it was getting weaker and weaker. Yangcheng could hear his own breathing, his own heartbeat, and he could feel that Siyao Qi-Qing, who was in his arms, was getting weaker and weaker because of the sound wave attacks. The Chaos Cauldron went from attacking at the beginning, but now it guarded by his side, using the power of chaos to form a barrier and strengthen its defense. But no matter how strong the Chaos Cauldron was, it couldn't last forever, and it would be broken sooner or later. The golden firebird, the magnificent sunken star, and the endless entanglement of the ink dragon made Yangcheng unable to see the situation outside clearly. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly reverberated in his mind. It was a mocking laugh, as if it was watching a joke. Yangcheng was stunned, his divine sense tightened, and he said in astonishment, Chaos! A virtual image that looked exactly like Yangcheng formed in Yangcheng's sea of consciousness, and with a teasing expression, it said, long time no see, little guy. Yangcheng subconsciously resisted the external attack, and he was deeply shocked. Why am I still here? Why can I still talk to you? Hun Dun sneered disdainfully. Stupid and lowly human. Do you really think that you can make me submit to you just because you ate that Buddha heart Sarira? What a joke. I'm immortal, an ancient divine beast that was born from the beginning of Hong Meng. The owner of that relic was just a Buddhist cultivator with some strength in the ancient times. If I had a physical body, I could swallow hundreds and thousands of Buddhist cultivators with that level of cultivation effortlessly. You want to subdue me with that lousy relic? You're really daydreaming. Chaos Tone was full of disdain, as if it was a supreme existence looking down on Su Quebec. Yangcheng suddenly realized something, and he exclaimed, You did it on purpose. Huh, it's not too late for you to realize it now. Chaos grinned and said, If I didn't pretend to be suppressed by you on purpose, you stupid little fellow, How could I continue to eat the cultivators that I want to eat and recover my strength? Chapter 1532. Yang Cheng felt extremely unlucky. Why was he not only fooled by Luo Chinchio, but also by chaos? However, chaos was after all a ferocious beast that had lived for who knew how many hundreds of thousands or millions of years. Even though he was sealed underground most of the time, his intelligence was actually far deeper than that of humans. It was actually not too embarrassing to be fooled by him. But now that Yang Cheng saw it come out, he felt that the situation was complicated. Then why did you come out now? Yang Cheng asked. Chaos said arrogantly, if I didn't come out, would you still be able to hold on? If you have the cultivation of the Shangqing heavenly lightning tribulation, then even if I don't come out, you can greatly increase the power of the chaos cauldron. You could dissolve these attacks one by one and even absorb them. But your cultivation is not enough to allow the chaos cauldron to absorb these attacks on a large scale. If this goes on, you won't be able to hold on. I think it's not that the chaos cauldron can't absorb it, but you did it on purpose. You absorbed the Tai Ching heavenly lightning very quickly just now. All of this is just you playing tricks in the dark. Yang Cheng was not stupid and laughed instead. Chaos did not care. You don't have to be angry. It's useless. In my eyes, you're just a little kid. If it wasn't for the fact that you have a good body and are suitable for me to use, I wouldn't have bothered to care about you. That's right, if I personally come out, not to mention the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, even the Shangqing heavenly lightning would not be a threat. I can still devour it. But why would I help you for nothing? To let you live until now, I have already treated you well. You're not helping me. You're just paving the way for yourself. Yang Cheng said. Chaos laughed out loud and said, so what? Every time I eat a cultivator, every time I absorb a heavenly lightning, and every time I use my true essence, I will transfer some of the spiritual chi to you to strengthen your cultivation and physique. Although this is all in preparation for using your body, I have still helped you after all. It's useless even if you deny it. Yang Cheng felt a surge of anger. He was like a shell that was being raised by chaos, fattening himself up, just waiting to be occupied. This feeling of being completely controlled and fooled made Yang Cheng go crazy. However, Han Dun didn't care at all. He snorted and said, you better not get angry first. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you're smart enough, you should know that you're no match for these cultivators. If you want your woman to be safe and let her leave this place, I can help you. Yang Cheng was startled. He lowered his head and looked at Xiao Qi-Ching, whose lips were pale. He felt pity for her and swallowed his saliva, but he couldn't say anything. Hubby, are you all right? Cough, cough. Xiao Qi-Ching saw Yang Cheng lowering his head to look at her and asked with concern. However, she coughed up more blood. It was obvious that she had suffered internal injuries. The conversation between Yang Cheng and chaos in his mind was undetectable by others. Yang Cheng felt his heart twitch as if it was being torn apart. That's right, if I force myself to hold on, this woman will die here. In fact, if she doesn't die, she will only be tortured even more miserably. Also, would these people let go of the women in his family? And his own children? Han Dun seemed to have seen through Yang Cheng's thoughts and said bewitchingly, think about the people you want to protect and think about what they've done for you. Do you have the heart to let them be at the mercy of others? If you let me use your body, I'll do you a favor in the name of the ancient divine beast. I guarantee that your women and family will not be provoked by any forces. Whoever dares to hurt them, I'll eat them up. Today, I'll help you kill all the people who laid their hands on you. I'll eat them up until not even their bones are left. What do you think? Yang Cheng didn't dare to believe this fellow's words. If it was really trustworthy, it wouldn't be called a beast. Han Dun didn't seem to be in a hurry. It just smiled quietly and waited for Yang Cheng's decision. Although it could forcefully attack Yang Cheng's divine sense, it was worried that Yang Cheng wouldn't be willing. Not only would it cause damage to its beast soul, it might even self-destruct. Then, the loss would outweigh the gain. For a moment, Yang Cheng's heart was in a fierce struggle. Outside, Luo Chinchio, Luo Chinxiang, and Luo Changchun had been attacking for a long time. Seeing that Yang Cheng still hadn't been defeated, they all lost their patience. This primal chaos cauldron is indeed a divine object that surpasses immortal weapons. It can even withstand this. Luo Qinxiang said unhappily. I think he's already at the end of his tether and has no strength to resist or escape. Why don't the 7 of us attack together? Luo Changchun said. Seeing that Yang Cheng really wouldn't escape, the 4 supreme elders gathered together and released their powerful true essence from the middle stage of the weak water realm. Luo Qinxiang naturally had no objections. He only felt that it was a pity that he might not be able to obtain the cultivation technique even after Yang Cheng died. However, after thinking about it, perhaps Yang Cheng's family still had a chance to obtain it, so he didn't say much. Suddenly, there were 4 more waves of true essence that were ready to be unleashed, causing Yang Cheng's mind to tremble again. This group of old fools, are they really going to kill me? Yang Cheng felt a splitting headache, and his own stubborn illness had also begun to erupt. His eyes flashed with a scarlet light. At this juncture, he could only go all out. Yang Cheng lowered his head and said to Xiao Qi-Ching, "Jing-er, I can only choose to gamble with primal chaos." I'm sorry. When Xiao Qi-Ching heard this, she was a little confused at first, but when she saw that the primal chaos cauldron in the sky was suddenly emitting an increasingly powerful aura, she suddenly realized something. Hubby, you want to? Xiao Qi-Ching didn't dare to continue. Her eyes were filled with tears. She knew that Yang Cheng had made up his mind and blamed himself incomparably. Yang Cheng didn't hear what Xiao Qi-Ching said anymore. His consciousness gradually became lost, his mind was muddled, and he gradually gave up his control. Primal chaos revealed a smug look. During this period of time, it had absorbed most of the spiritual energy for its own use, and had already recovered a lot of its vitality. Although it was still far from its peak, it was not hundreds of thousands of years ago. Those ancient immortals who could combine forces to kill and seal its physical body had long disappeared. In this world, it had enough time to strengthen itself and return to its peak. Obtaining Yang Cheng's physical body was just the first step. Outside, the 4 Grand Supreme Elders gathered colorful spells. They were all experts who had cultivated the Luo family's Luo Tian scripture. Their spells were vigorous, and from afar, it was as if a nuclear bomb had exploded, and all of them gathered at the location where Yang Cheng was. Defeat him in one fell swoop, Luo Changchun shouted. The next moment, the 7 of them used their special skills. A large amount of mighty, true essence erupted like a mountain torrent and vented at the location where Yang Cheng was. Gold, black, white, green, blue. Countless true essence surged and exploded, pulled, tangled, split, and drowned everything. Boom, boom, boom. The dazzling light caused the Luo family fort cultivators in the distance to subconsciously retreat, not daring to look directly at it. The combined attack of the 7 experts was like a mountain shaking and the pillars of the sky collapsing. A large amount of true essence scattered in all directions could shake an ordinary tribulation stage cultivator to death. Compared to the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, it was not much weaker. In addition, Yang Cheng was indeed an arrow at the end of its flight. To the 7 of them, this was already a death sentence. When the light gradually dissipated, the 7 of them realized that Yang Cheng and Xiao Qi-Ching were nowhere to be seen. As for the chaos cauldron, it was slowly rotating in the air, and the power of chaos was also showing signs of withdrawing. It's over, Luo Qinxiang snorted and said calmly. Luo Changchun said, it should have been over long ago. It's just a last-ditch struggle. The Luo castle cultivators were also elated. They felt that this was an eye-opener, and they were in high spirits. But Luo Qinxiang frowned, and his pupils shrank. He suddenly looked up. How is this possible? Being startled by him, the other elders also raised their heads to look up. The next second, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They saw a figure standing proudly in the sky above them, which was about 100 meters above the chaos cauldron. Facing the cold wind, Yang Cheng held Xiao Qi-Ching with one hand and stroked his chin with the other. His eyes had turned blood red, and there was not a trace of humanity in them. It was as if he was shrouded in a fog, and a desolate and mysterious aura permeated the air. Impossible. How did he escape? How did he escape without us noticing? Luo Qinxiang turned pale with fright. In the sky, Yang Cheng looked down and saw the surprised expressions of the 7 people below. He grinned wickedly and licked his lips, revealing a greedy smile. Chapter 1533. Looking at Yang Cheng's strange smile, the 7 people present trembled from the depths of their souls, as if there were countless pairs of scarlet eyes staring at them bloodthirstily from behind. His cultivation is not right. Luo Qinxiu was the first to feel the strangeness, and he said with a cold expression. Luo Changchun and the others also looked solemn. Indeed, Yang Cheng's cultivation had suddenly increased a lot compared to just now. Although they could not see how high Yang Cheng's cultivation was, the pressure of the true core force at this moment was on a completely different level from Yang Cheng just now. Hiss! Han Dun did not care too much about how the 7 people below looked at him. Instead, he let out a sound of enjoyment and infatuation. His throat moved, and he took a big breath of cold air. It's really delicious, the smell of breath, Luo Qinxiang, who was below, said with a gloomy face. He is mocking us and bluffing. Don't be fooled by him. I'm afraid he used some kind of secret technique to stimulate his potential. At this level, who can inexplicably increase their cultivation by so much? That's right, don't let him escape. Luo Changchu nodded, drew a few runes with his hands, and pushed them towards the sky. Golden light flashed, and he shouted, "Sinking star, heavens collapse!" For a moment, a large amount of condensed spiritual qi was suddenly produced on top of Han Dun's head. Under the stimulation of true core force, it gradually expanded and formed a huge energy body of dozens of feet. Boom! This energy body suddenly fell, and with a terrifying power, it broke into pieces and began to violently explode. Thousands of colorful rays of light, and the true core force that erupted in that instant seemed to destroy the whole space. Han Dun did not even look at it, and let the energy body envelop him. The next scene shocked the 7 people present to the extreme. They saw that when the exploded spiritual qi body touched the space around Han Dun, it all turned into strands of separated spiritual qi flow and was inexplicably absorbed. In the blink of an eye, this powerful offensive spell disappeared without a trace, like a clay ox entering the sea, as if everything was just a dream. Of course, to Chaos, this was very normal. This kind of attack spell that was like a child's play to him was just like giving him some snacks to eat. About 400,000 years ago, the ancient immortals had the cultivation of a Yu-Qing heavenly thunder tribulation. The spells that they cast could be called the real heaven-shattering and earth-rending. However, it still required dozens of people to besiege it to defeat it. If it weren't for the fact that Yang Cheng's body wasn't comparable to his real body and his overall strength hadn't even recovered to 1% of his peak, he wouldn't even need to look at these ants in front of him. Even so, after the chaos took control of Yang Cheng's body, it transferred all the spiritual energy stored in the chaos cauldron. This allowed the cultivation of Yang Cheng's body to skyrocket to the Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder Great Perfection realm. Previously, when Yang Cheng absorbed so much purple-blue Heavenly Thunder and 3 Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder, in addition to a large number of experts and elixirs, he only had a cultivation of about half of the Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder realm. This was because the chaos had secretly withheld a large amount of spiritual energy. Now that the chaos had taken control of Yang Cheng's body, it naturally didn't need to hide it anymore. After all, it was all its own, so it took it out in one go. After all, the chaos still hoped to have a body to cultivate, and not to keep nourishing the chaos cauldron that sealed itself. At this moment, Yang Cheng had truly reached the Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder Great Perfection realm and cultivation. In addition to the chaos's devouring attribute, the chaos's power of chaos, how could it still take these 7 people seriously? Even Luo Qinxiu, who had the highest cultivation, was at most in the middle stage of Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder Great Perfection realm. His realm was far from the chaos, not to mention the other 6 people. That's it? Can you do something to make me excited? The chaos grinned and looked at the 7 people. As he spoke, the chaos threw Xiao Qi-Ching towards the chaos cauldron. The chaos cauldron was responsible for protecting the woman. Xiao Qi-Ching knew that this fellow wasn't her man. She was angry and worried, but she was also very afraid and didn't dare to make a sound. At this moment, Luo Qinxiu thought of something and suddenly shouted, "You're not Yang Cheng. You're the ferocious beast chaos." "What?" The others cried out in shock. The chaos laughed wildly. "It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is which one of you can fill the gaps between my teeth first." Preposterous. You're about to die, and you're still pretending to be mysterious. Black Dragon's secret art, Dragon King's Fury. Luo Qinxiang had a swift and fierce nature and wasn't afraid at all. She condensed a whirlpool of black water, and a huge, ferocious dragon head that was as large as a bell burst out from it. The dragon head swelled with the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it had already expanded more than 10 times. It howled towards the chaos with an aura that could devour mountains and rivers. The chaos didn't dodge or evade. Instead, he charged toward the dragon head. Before the black water came into contact with the chaos, it had already turned into countless spiritual energy and was completely absorbed. The thunder was loud, but the rain was small. It didn't have any effect at all. "Grandma, be careful!" Luo Qinxiu shouted, but it was already too late. The chaos had already arrived in front of Luo Qinxiang. Luo Qinxiang didn't expect that the chaos would charge directly towards her. Subconsciously, she could only raise the weeping ghost sword and stab it at the chaos. Clang, 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 clang. The power of the chaos suddenly exploded. The dark gray energy directly crushed the weeping ghost sword and turned it into metal spiritual energy to be absorbed. However, it was just a barely high-grade magic treasure. In the eyes of the chaos, it was basically trash. "No! Luo Qinxiang's mournful scream pierced through the night sky, but she was already caught by the chaos. A large hand covered her head. SSSSS. The head of the charming woman was directly twisted off by the chaos. Even her bones were directly torn apart. She died with her eyes wide open. Fresh blood gushed out from Luo Qinxiang's neck like a fountain, shooting straight up into the sky. The chaos laughed wildly. Under everyone's suffocating gaze, he bit down on the severed neck and began to eat heartily. Huff, huff, the sound of flesh and blood being sucked made Luo Qinxiu and the other 5, including Xiao Qi-Ching, feel like they were about to collapse. Xiao Qi-Ching was so frightened that she directly covered her eyes, not daring to look any longer. The Luo castle cultivators in the distance were either weak in the legs or pale in the face. They couldn't understand how the situation had suddenly taken such a drastic turn for the worse. The Grand Elder, who was at the peak of the weak water realm, was actually instantly killed by Yang Cheng, and even had his flesh eaten. After eating a few mouthfuls, the chaos suddenly raised his head. His face was full of fresh blood and mincemeat. It was bright red, as if he had just come out of a blood pool. His body was covered in blood and water. A wicked and excited smile appeared on his face. The taste that I've been yearning for day and night. The fresh flesh and blood of a human cultivator. It's been too long since I've eaten it. Oh, if they still didn't believe Luo Qianqiu's judgment after hearing the sentence and seeing this scene, then these people must be crazy. Chaos. This Yang Cheng had really been possessed by chaos. Just a moment ago, he had completely suppressed Yang Cheng, but now the attacks of these people were like clay chickens and pottery dogs, unable to even touch him. They finally understood the reason. After eating a few mouthfuls of flesh and blood, chaos instantly absorbed all of Luo Qianqiang's cultivation. The scarlet light in his eyes became even more fanatical. Run! Run quickly! Run in different directions! Luo Qianqiu gathered 100% of his true essence and roared. This was an order to the entire Luo castle. It was impossible to defeat a heaven-defying ancient beast that could instantly kill Luo Chenxiang and destroy a high-grade magic weapon in one blow. If they stayed behind, they would only be waiting for death. Almost at the first moment, Luo Chenxiao ran towards the southwest direction. That was the location of none other than the Ning family. He knew that running anywhere else was useless. Only by leading chaos to a place with many experts would they have a chance to divert its attention and harm other cultivators. The other 5 cultivators, including Luo Changchun, were a little slower, but they also knew that they had to run quickly. Chaos was enraged. These ants still dare to run? What was the use of running? Now that he had occupied Yang Cheng's body, sooner or later, he would eat them all up. But these people had chosen different directions to escape. It was difficult for Chaos to catch them all at once, so he could only choose the closest direction to chase after that Ruoshui middle stage Grand Supreme Elder. Don't eat me. When that Grand Supreme Elder saw Chaos chasing after him, he was so frightened that he no longer cared about his old face and dignity. He began to cry out. It was really too indignant that his hundreds of years of cultivation were eaten up just like that. But Chaos did not care so much. After all, its speed was faster than him. The power of Chaos instantly crushed the Grand Supreme Elder's hands that tried to resist. It crushed the old man's neck and sucked his cultivation clean. Chapter 1534. The Luo Castle cultivators who were further away had already fled in all directions, and Hun Dun was too lazy to chase after them one by one. It had been observing Yang Cheng's experience in the dark, and it knew which places had a large number of cultivators in the illusion, such as the Xiao family, the Ning family, and the Central Hongming. It planned to eat them one by one, and there was no need for it to chase after the stray dogs of the Luo family. If Hun Dun was said to be an immortal and indestructible ferocious beast, and its intellect was superior to others over the endless years, but it was ultimately not human. If it had any flaws, it would probably be its uncontrollable, primitive nature of insatiable greed. No matter what the situation was, Hun Dun wanted to eat all humans. This was the difference between beasts and humans, and also the reason why the ancient immortals risked their lives to seal Hun Dun. They knew that if Hun Dun was not sealed, the extinction of humans was only a matter of time. Hun Dun was born to continuously devour all living things, and this was its destiny, not its own choice. Unfortunately, there was really no way to kill this evil creature, or else it would have been killed long ago. It runs pretty fast, Hun Dun muttered to himself, and after savoring the fresh meat that he had just eaten, he glanced to Xiao Qi-Ching, who was under the Hun Dun cauldron, and his figure flashed past her. Xiao Qi-Ching saw that Hun Dun was staring at her, and her delicate body trembled. What did you do to my husband? You can still speak after seeing me, little girl. You have some guts. Hun Dun grinned evilly. Your man is no longer here, and now this body belongs to me. You lied to me. My husband won't lose to you. Xiao Qi-Ching's heart fell to the bottom, but she still held on to hope and cried out unwillingly. I don't have time to waste with a little girl like you. That idiot Yang Cheng wanted me to protect you women. Originally, I didn't mind, but now I've changed my mind. I'm busy eating cultivators to recover my strength. I don't have time to care about you lowly humans. Hun Dun was filled with the pleasure of revenge. Yang Cheng, that idiot, dared to disrespect me when I was weak. You are his woman. I could have refined you and eaten you first, then I would have eaten all the women and children on that island to relieve the hatred in my heart. However, right now, I really want to see the appearance of Yang Cheng's woman begging me for mercy. If you can please me, I will spare your little life. Xiao Qi-Ching was startled for a moment. Then he sneered with tears in his eyes. So you're just a pitiful worm. Kill me if you want, but do you think I'll beg you for mercy? Even if I'm a weak woman, I still look down on you. Hun Dun frowned and grinned. Good. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll cut open your stomach and eat you up. If Yang Cheng knew that he ate his woman, I wonder how he would feel. After saying that, Hun Dun reached out his hand and reached for Xiao Qi-Ching's heart. ready to dig out her heart first. But just as his hand reached out halfway, Hun Dun suddenly shook. How? How could it be? You. Damn it. No. Hun Dun's face began to twist, his body twitched, the scarlet red in his eyes dimmed, and then went wild, and the murderous aura on his body was also sometimes strong and sometimes weak. Xiao Qiqing originally closed her eyes and waited for death, but she suddenly realized that something was wrong with Hun Dun. She opened her eyes and looked. At first, she was a little puzzled, but then her eyes emitted waves of hope. At this moment, in Yangcheng's sea of consciousness, a powerful spiritual force was constantly breaking through the suppression of Hun Dun's primordial spirit and began to struggle violently. Bastard, I knew you were going to go back on your words. What did you say about protecting my woman? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Yangcheng's angry roar came from the depths of Hun Dun's consciousness. A cloud of spiritual force of the netherworld began to make Hun Dun's consciousness retreat. Suddenly, Yangcheng's consciousness, which had disappeared without a trace, appeared again and stood side by side with Hun Dun. In Hun Dun's sea of consciousness, Tu Yang-Cheng appeared again. Hun Dun looked at the spiritual force of the netherworld that was emitting from Yangcheng's body and suddenly thought of something. It's the spiritual force of that godhead. Hun Dun finally recognized that it was the godhead that Hades had given to Yang-Cheng in the past. But for some reason, the spiritual force emitted by the godhead this time was several times stronger than before. Yang-Cheng grinned, and his eyes were full of blazing, fighting spirit. What do you think? You didn't expect me to have this trick, did you? Although you have recovered a lot of primordial chi, your primordial spirit is still sealed by the chaos cauldron and can't escape. That's why you can only rely on my body. And if I'm not wrong, your primordial spirit is not strong enough to devour me directly. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to tempt me with all kinds of benefits to make me hand over the control. Wouldn't it be better for you to devour my primordial spirit directly? Hun Dun was embarrassed into anger when he was pointed out. Indeed, the seal of the ancient immortals was extremely powerful. This chaos cauldron had sealed his primordial spirit inside. Before he completely recovered, it was almost impossible for him to break free from this chaos cauldron. And because of the chaos cauldron, the recovery of his primordial spirit was also a problem. He couldn't break free and could only rely on Yang-Cheng to recognize him as his master and attach himself to Yangcheng's body. If his primordial spirit was really strong enough, he would have devoured Yang-Cheng directly. Why would he need to tempt Yang-Cheng over and over again, persuade Yang-Cheng, and suffer so much? This time, he saw the right opportunity to come out. Firstly, he felt that his strength had recovered to a certain extent and was enough to subdue Yangcheng's primordial spirit. As for devouring, he could take it slowly. Secondly, Hun Dun felt that with the strength of Yangcheng's primordial spirit, as long as he gave up now, he wouldn't be able to resist, unless he gave up the control himself. It was the same logic as Yangcheng didn't take the initiative to retreat previously. But unexpectedly, Yangcheng's mental strength suddenly skyrocketed. Mental strength and divine sense seemed to be two different things, but they were both part of the primordial spirit. There were 8 divine senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, will, samadhi, and araya. Among them, what was the consciousness? Araya was the germination of thought in Buddhism. It was the happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy of human beings. And mental strength was the willpower emitted from a brain. Humans' willpower was mysterious, while the gods used the mysterious godhead to transform their willpower into powerful mental strength. They could hide and release it at will. It was also a theoretical concept of unsealing. Mental strength originally represented willpower. It was an important component of a strong divine sense. Divine sense was the manifestation of the primordial spirit. Now, Yangcheng's mental strength was released through the godhead. It carried the netherworld aura of the Hades god of Pluto's godhead. Suddenly, The pressure on Hun Dun increased tremendously. How? How did your mental strength become so powerful? Hun Dun felt very strained. He realized that his divine sense was being repelled. Yang Cheng became even more passionate. He said in a clear voice, "After all, you can only rely on guesses and observe my every move from the side. You can't pry into my inner thoughts." Early on, when Gaia's heart was recovering, the mental strength in the Godhead had already begun to increase rapidly. The mental strength of the gods was increasing at an accelerated rate. But because I didn't use the law of space much, I know that you don't know that my Godhead is different from before. Now, as long as I release the mental strength in my Godhead, although my cultivation won't change, my primordial spirit will be instantly strengthened. Do you think that my divine sense is at the same level as yours, or even slightly inferior to yours? That's a big mistake. I've already left you far behind. It's impossible for you to catch up with me. Yang Cheng's words stung Hun Dun's self-esteem. But no matter how Hun Dun struggled, it found that it was of no use. The Godhead continued to release that powerful mental strength to help Yang Cheng's primordial spirit. It pushed back and suppressed Hun Dun's primordial spirit. "No, I can't lose to you. I can't accept it." Hun Dun's efforts were in vain. He didn't know in advance how much mental strength Gaia's heart had provided to the gods. His divine sense, which was originally on par with Yang Cheng's, was no match for him now. Seeing that Hun Dun was gradually weakening, Yang Cheng said proudly, "I've already said that you're just a beast raised by me. How dare you play tricks with your master? Now that you've given me all the cultivation that you've been secretly hiding, I'll completely conquer you and welcome the Shang-Qing heavenly thunder. Hun Dun, if you don't want to sink into the endless abyss again, then be my lackey. Despicable human." No. Hun Dun's roar gradually weakened and finally disappeared from Yang Cheng's sea of divine sense. Chapter 1535. As soon as Yang Cheng gained the initiative, he swept the chaos out of his sea of consciousness, and the baleful aura on his body naturally dissipated. His pair of blood-red eyes regained their clarity, flickering with radiance. Other than the bloodstains on his body and the flesh on his face, there was nothing different about him. Of course, as his cultivation base and realm reached the great perfection of the Tai Ching heavenly thunder, the self-confidence that he emitted from inside out was even greater than before. After Yang Cheng hugged Xiao Qi-Ching, the Chaos Cauldron obediently shrunk and returned to Yang Cheng's Dantian. After suffering such a change, even if the Chaos had the intention to resist, it would be very difficult for it to have a chance in the future. Yang Cheng's primordial spirit was much stronger than before. It was almost impossible for the Chaos to conceal its cultivation. Therefore, unless Yang Cheng's primordial spirit was severely injured or Yang Cheng died, the Chaos could only be his slave forever. Now that Yang Cheng had completely controlled the Chaos, he also had a stronger control over the power of Chaos. Just based on this point, his strength had surpassed the ordinary great perfection of the Tai Ching heavenly thunder. Phew! Yang Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. He lowered his head and saw that Xiao Qi-Ching was looking at him with tears in her eyes, which were filled with joy. Yang Cheng smiled brightly and reached out to touch the woman's nose. "Silly Qing, or what are you crying for? Aren't I fine now? Hubby, I thought you've already. Xiao Qi-Ching felt scared just thinking about it. "I've already said that I want to take a gamble. You're so sure that I'll lose? Don't you have confidence in me?" Yang Cheng shook his head and sighed gloomily. Xiao Qi-Ching pouted and said, "How would I know what you're talking about? You're not even telling me. Little idiot, if I were to tell you, would the Chaos still fall for it?" Yang Cheng rolled his eyes at the woman. Xiao Qi-Ching giggled. "This time, Hun Dun is completely defeated. Hubby, you are so cunning. It can't be helped. These old fellows are all old foxes. I have to be more careful." Even so, Luo Qinxiu and Luo Hang escaped. Damn it. Fortunately, I've already attained the perfection stage of the Grand Qing realm. I can go look for them and kill them all at any time. Yang Cheng was still vexed over the matter of the Luo father and son. Xiao Qi-Ching blinked her eyes and asked expectantly, "Hubby, are you going to cross the Shang-Qing heavenly thunder trial from time to time? With the chaos cauldron, it shouldn't be difficult for you to go through the heavenly tribulation. Your physique is already extremely strong." Yang Cheng sighed helplessly. Cultivation and realm are enough, but this tribulation requires an opportunity and a deeper understanding of the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, why would Luo Qinxiu wait 8 years before undergoing his tribulation? I can't force it now. Anyway, what will come sooner or later. Xiao Qiqing nodded her head in understanding. She seemed to be too happy. She hugged Yang Cheng's neck and kissed Yang Cheng's lips. Yang Cheng pushed the woman away. "Hey, don't kiss me. That idiot Hun done ate an old woman just now. There's still the flesh and blood of that old woman on my lips. I don't care. I've even eaten so many poisons. Why would I be afraid of this little bit of human flesh?" Xiao Qiqing pouted. Yang Cheng laughed foolishly. He touched the woman's head dotingly and sighed. "Darling Qing, I've finally saved you. This time, it's more daunting than dangerous. I've gained quite a lot. I'll bring you back to the Mediterranean Sea now. I'll let you see your nanny, Su Xian. Then, I'll rest for a while before returning to the illusion realm to kill to my heart's content." Xiao Qiqing had long wanted to see Su Xian. She nodded her head excitedly. Without saying anything else, Yang Cheng brought the woman and flew southwest. That was the direction Luo Qinxiu escaped in. However, Yang Cheng wanted to reach the Mediterranean Sea as soon as possible. On the way, Yang Cheng thought of something and asked Xiao Qiqing curiously. Since Su Xian was her nanny, didn't she breastfeed her when she was young? But Su Xian didn't look like she had a child, so how could she breastfeed her? Xiao Qiqing smiled and explained. She was called Nanny because Su Xian took care of her when she was young. When she was a baby, she drank milk powder. After all, the illusion realm was connected to the outside world. Yang Cheng felt a trace of sorrow in his heart. If that was the case, Su Xian was tainted by Shao Qiufeng, which hurt her even more. He didn't know how to tell Xiao Qiqing about this, so he decided not to say it for now. After all, it was a nightmarish experience for Su Xian. The illusion realm was vast and boundless. Although Yang Cheng flew southwest like Luo Qinxiu, he didn't take the same route as Luo Qinxiu. Along the way, he didn't encounter any cultivators. He directly left the illusion realm and went straight back to the Mediterranean Sea. In the blink of an eye, he crossed the ocean and arrived at the sunny mountains. After half a world had passed, it was already afternoon. The sun was setting warmly, and the sea breeze was blowing gently. Yang Cheng's spiritual sense was now unprecedentedly powerful. With a casual sweep, he found Su Xian's position. Su Xian, Mother Wang, and a few other women were together outside a wooden house in the center. Before returning, Yang Cheng didn't forget to change the two's clothes into clean ones and wash his body. He didn't want to scare anyone, so he directly landed. Under the eaves, Mother Wang, Su Xian, Tang Wan, Imo Qinni, and Lu Mingyu were sitting at a table outside Ron's old wooden house. Not far away, Lin Ruoshi, who was wearing a white dress, was playing with the chubby little girl on a beautiful swing wrapped in flowers and vines. After all, Lan Lan was still a child. Although she could break this kind of swing with a metal chain, she was happy to swing there for more than half an hour. When Yang Cheng suddenly landed with Xiao Qiqing, all the girls looked over in surprise. When they saw Xiao Qiqing, they were all pleasantly surprised. "Hubby Qing Er," Mo Qianni shouted. "You scare me. Can't you say hello before you come back?" Tang Wan clutched her chest and joked. Lan Lan, who was not far away, also jumped down and ran over like a gust of wind, causing Lin Ruoshi, who was behind her, to shake her head and smile helplessly. Lin Ruoshi, on the other hand, was very calm. She didn't seem to be surprised that Yang Cheng had brought Xiao Qiqing back at this time. She slowly walked over. Mother Wang, on the other hand, was already crying tears of joy. After confirming that she wasn't dreaming, she rushed up and hugged Xiao Qiqing. "My daughter, Io, Qing I was so worried about you. Mother Wang caressed Xiao Qiqing's face and body, afraid that she would lose a piece of flesh. Xiao Qiqing hugged her mother tightly. She bit her lip and her tears were still flowing. She then raised her head and saw Su Xian covering her face and sobbing as she looked at her. She softly called out, "Nanny." With this shout, Su Xian couldn't care too much about anything else. She rushed up and hugged Xiao Qiqing, crying. Yang Cheng looked at the three women crying there, and his heart was moved. However, as a man, it wasn't appropriate for him to get involved, so he naturally picked up his daughter, who was pouncing over, and smiled at Lin Ruoshi and the other girls. "How is it? Your husband's efficiency in saving people is high enough," Yang Cheng said proudly. This time, the women didn't roll their eyes at his boasting. Instead, they asked with concern what he had experienced in the illusion. "Don't worry, I'll tell you slowly later. Speaking of which, where's that old man Ron?" Ron. Yang Cheng scanned with his divine sense and found that Ron was in the forest behind the wooden house. So he shouted loudly, "Ron, you old brat, come back quickly." The old godfather of the mafia, Ron, was taking care of the flowers he had meticulously cultivated in the forest. When he heard Yang Cheng shout, he was stunned and quickly ran back. "Your Majesty Pluto, you're back?" Ron smiled amiably. He was wearing a farmer's rough clothes and a straw hat. He was holding a small shovel in his hand. He didn't waste any time and asked, "What can I do for you?" "Old man, your clothes match you quite well. I want to celebrate the reunion of my Qing heir with Mother Wang and Su Xian. Bring me a few bottles of good wine from my wine cellar." Yang Cheng said. Ron asked, "Will a 1982 Margaret do?" "Your Majesty Pluto." "All right, I don't know what's left anyway. Go and get more." Yang Cheng waved his hand. Ron nodded and quickly walked to the wine cellar with a smile. Lin Ruoshi glanced at Yang Cheng and complained, "No matter what, Mr. Ron is the world's top designer and a respected elder. It's too rude for you to always treat him like a servant. Don't you see that Lon Lon is looking at you from the side?" "Wife, you don't understand. If I were to be polite to these guys, they would think that I was going to kill them. If I were to be impolite to them, they would think that I was treating them as one of their own." Yang Cheng chuckled and pinched Lanlin's chubby cheeks. He felt extremely comfortable after returning home. Chapter 1536. At this time, Xiao Qiqing, Mother Wang, and Su Xian finally stopped crying and gathered at the tea table. Mother Wang and Su Xian both wanted to say some words of gratitude to Yang Cheng, but they were stopped by Yang Cheng, thinking that it was too mushy. After Yang Cheng sat down with Lan Lan in his arms, he asked, "Why are there only a few of you here? Where are Qiang Wei, Yin and Jin Xiu?" "The sisters have all gone to the sea region far away from the island to cultivate. After all, sparring occasionally makes too much of a commotion. It's more convenient to go to the uninhabited sea region, and we don't have to worry about hurting the innocent," Lu Mingyu said. Yang Cheng was stunned. "Yin and Jin Xiu also went? Isn't their cultivation level?" "They broke through," Tang Wan said with some emotion. "Not long after you left, Yonyan broke through and is now at the early stage of soul formation. I don't know what happened to her, but when she found out that Anshin unexpectedly broke through in one night, she was very anxious, and in the end, she also broke through inexplicably. As for little sister Jinxiu, I can't help but admire her. She seems to have a very high comprehension ability. After Yonyan broke through, she also broke through and reached the early stage of soul formation." Yang Cheng was speechless for a while. There was such a thing. He didn't know what Choi Yun and Jinxiu had comprehended, but it was still a great thing. Jinxiu's breakthrough really surprised him. The time this little girl used to cultivate to the soul formation stage was too short, although with the help of a large number of pills, reaching the peak of Xiantian was very fast. Comprehending it was the hard truth. However, this kind of thing was hard to say. Jinxiu's experience was actually much richer than her peers, and she had experienced all kinds of dangers, so she definitely had a lot of unique feelings about everything in the world. Now, among his women, only Lin Ruoshi, Tang Wan, Imo Qianni, Lu Mingyu, and Li Jingjing, who was far away in Beijing, had yet to break through to the soul formation stage. Xiao Qi was unable to cultivate. You guys, aren't you anxious seeing them break through? Yang Cheng joked. Lu Mingyu smiled and said, we even mentioned it before. We said that it's because we are older from time to time, and that it's easier for the younger ones to break through. Hearing this, Yang Cheng looked at Lin Ruoxi with a smile and said, of Mingyu, don't you think there's something wrong? You seem to be the same age as Yonyan. Lin Ruoxi gracefully picked up a cup of black tea and took a sip. She lowered her eyebrows and said lightly, I'm not in a hurry. Yang Cheng was speechless at the woman's nonchalant reply. He furrowed his brows slightly, then smiled in relief and didn't say much. Speaking of which, Emo Chiani said with a smile, when Yonyan comes back, hubby, you can see what she has cultivated. It's a very magical thing. Yang Cheng raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, so mysterious, you're still keeping me in suspense. As they spoke, Ron had already taken out a few bottles of margarita red wine. These 82 years of fine wine were already in a situation where there was a price but no supply in the market. The most ordinary one was at least 20,000 Huaxia dollars, not to mention the top quality goods. However, Yang Cheng's subordinates all over the world would give him good things all year round, so he didn't lack good wine at all. After opening a few bottles of red wine, Yang Cheng asked Ron to stay behind to chat and drink a few cups. After all, it was a good day, and he could also wait for Qiang Wei and the other girls to return. The chubby little girl was interested in the wine that looked exquisite and elegant. She begged Lin Ruoxi to let her take a sip, but in the end, she spat it out and said that it didn't taste as good as milk juice. Yang Cheng began to roughly describe the situation in the illusion. Xiao Qi helped to hide some things that would make Mother Wang and Su Xian worry. They had a tacit understanding. After learning that Yang Cheng's cultivation had reached the peak of the Grand Pure Realm, and there was almost no one who could match up to him in the illusion, the women were clearly surprised. Of course, Yang Cheng knew that with his current strength, he was definitely not invincible. At the very least, he might not be a match for the person behind number one. However, because his cultivation was not enough at that time, he couldn't tell what level he was at. Ron didn't quite understand these. When Yang Cheng was almost done, the old man whose nose was a little red after drinking 2 mouthfuls said, Your Majesty Pluto, since you are back, there is something I need to report to you. Oh, what is it? It's Princess Jane. She said that she intends to transform her original residence on the island into a laboratory. She has already transported the experimental equipment, various raw materials, and materials she needs from London by freighter. She will probably arrive here this evening. Ron said. Yang Cheng thought it was something important, so he nodded and said, that was originally her territory. Let her do as she pleases. In the future, she won't have to run back and forth to do some experiments. She is a scientific research maniac, and she really can't stay without a laboratory. Because this forgotten kingdom was a gift from Catherine to Yang Cheng after she obtained the title of queen, there was already a place arranged for them to live on the island, and it was quite spacious. Jane didn't come here much before, but now she liked to get along with her sisters. Jane also planned to move the laboratory to the island. Anyway, after having cultivation, it was very convenient to fly. After more than an hour, a few beautiful and valiant figures descended from the sky in the south. It was Qiang Wei and the other women who had returned to the island. Seeing Yang Cheng and Xiao Qi, the women were overjoyed, and inevitably there was a burst of laughter and asked about what had happened. Yang Cheng noticed that Qiang Wei, Kai Ning, and Anxin were all at the late stage of soul formation. Anxin's true essence cultivation grew a little fast, even faintly stronger than Qiang Wei and Kai Ning. Yang Cheng always felt that more and more changes had taken place in this woman. When he recalled that pair of coquettish green eyes in his mind, he felt strange. Choi Yun and Jin Xiu were also at the early stage of soul formation. He believed that with the help of a large number of pills, it wouldn't take long for them to reach the late stage. Darling, guess what I've understood? Before Yang Cheng asked, Choi Yun's nature of showing off was revealed, and there was a smug smile on her face. Yang Cheng spread his hands. You're so mysterious, how can I guess? Choi Yun giggled and suddenly circulated her true essence, and a white flame appeared in her hand. Yang Chung was startled. He didn't recognize this kind of flame, and he had never seen it before. He said in surprise, "Could it be a deviant flame?" "Yeah, hubby, you know." Choi Yun pointed at Su Xin and said, "Aunt Su Xin told me that this might be a deviant flame's heart flame." "Heart flame?" Yang Chung looked at Su Xin, and Su Xin quickly explained to Yang Chung. This heart flame was indeed a type of deviant flame, and it was born from one's heart. Heart flame usually appeared on cultivators with fiery tempers, but because cultivators with fiery tempers usually couldn't bear the loneliness and calmness to cultivate, it rarely appeared. Moreover, simply having a fiery temperament was not enough. One must also have an exquisite heart of ice, which meant that in addition to being fiery, one must have the last bit of calmness to control one's temper. It was precisely these 2 points that Choi Yun satisfied. After all, she was a woman who had been a police chief before, and her personality was indeed not gentle. After cultivating Yang Cheng's cultivation technique, she unexpectedly comprehended the heart flame. However, the heart flame was a deviant flame that required comprehension. There were no spells, and the attacking methods had to be comprehended by the cultivator himself. This was a disadvantage, but of course, it was also a greater possibility. Yang Chung tried to let Choi Yun use the heart flame to attack him once, and discovered that the beauty of the heart flame was that it didn't burn anything, but it could disturb one's thoughts, causing one to feel manic and uneasy. It could be said that it was a type of interference deviant flame. Of course, that was because Yang Cheng's cultivation was too high after all. If it was a cultivator who was on par with Choi Yun, perhaps one hit would cause one's mind to go insane. It was still very powerful. Jinxiu didn't comprehend anything special, and she just entered the spirit-severing stage from the innate stage. Actually, this was also a normal state, but the little girl pouted as if she was a little unwilling. Not to mention that Choi Yun and Jane were spirit-severing stage. One had a deviant flame, and the other had a domain. Xiang Wei and Kai Ning also had a special Dao. Jinxiu looked at herself, and it was just ordinary true qi transforming into true essence. So it was inevitable that she felt uncomfortable. Yang Chung saw that the girl was like a child and smiled. He took out a pair of exquisite knives from his space ring and handed them to Jinxiu. "Here, girl, this is for you. A mid-high grade magic weapon with a short blade. I think it's quite suitable for you to play with. Don't pout at me. You can hang an oil bottle on it." Yang Chung said. Not only Jinxiu, but the other girls also had a strange look in their eyes. These 2 short blades were both less than a foot long. One of the blades was thicker, and the golden patterns were like vines coiling around it. It was engraved with 2 words, red pearl. The other blade was thin, and the purple patterns were like blooming flowers. It was engraved with 2 words, sandflower. Chapter 1537. This pair of dual saber magic treasures was dazzling and beautiful. Red spider lily? This is one of the best magic treasures in the illusionary realm. Hubby, did you snatch it from the elders of the Luo family? Si Yao Qi-Ching immediately recognized it. How could Yang Chung remember such trivial things? He scratched his head and said, "I killed a bunch of people from the Shao family, and this time I slaughtered a bunch of people from the Luo family. I also snatched some magic treasures. I won't take out the inferior ones. I just think that this saber is very beautiful and matches Jinxiu's figure, so I wanted to give it to Jinxiu. Why is it famous?" Dual saber magic treasures are very rare. The red spider lily is one of the best. The red spider lily can increase the density of spiritual energy and form resistance, which can be used for both offense and defense. The sandflower can reduce the resistance of spiritual energy and can instantly increase its speed to attack when the enemy is unprepared. If used well, this is an extremely strong dual saber style. The enemy will find it hard to adapt to the rhythm of fast and slow at times. However, if the technique is not good enough, it will only increase the danger to oneself. After all, this is a relatively close combat magic treasure. Si Yao Qi-Ching said. Without waiting for Yang Chung to say anything, Jinxiu had already snatched the pair of sabers from Yang Cheng's hands and hugged it in her arms. She was overjoyed, and her little face was a little flushed with excitement. Whatever, since Brother Yang said to give it to me, then it's mine. I'll just practice it well. If I don't practice well, I won't use it recklessly. Jinxiu was straightforward. This set of dual sabers was indeed too beautiful. It was like a wonderful work of art. Calling it a killing weapon was a bit of a stain. No wonder the girl liked it so much. The other women also looked at it with envy. Hubby, you're too biased. Just giving Jinxiu a gift. Anxin was the first to refuse. She grabbed Yang Cheng's hand and said coquettishly. Jinxiu immediately retorted and stuck out her pink tongue. Sister Anxin is not ashamed. You're already so old, yet you're still acting coquettishly. You little girl. Anxin's face was flushed red as she pounced over to tickle Jinxiu. When Yang Cheng saw the two women arguing, he hurriedly took out a large assortment of magic weapons from his interspatial ring and spread them out on the lawn outside the door. Stop arguing. I still have a huge pile of gifts here. Give them to everyone one by one. So what's the rush? Looking at the dazzling lineup of at least 20 to 30 magic treasures, everyone was stunned by the spiritual energy emanating from them. Yang Cheng grabbed the medium-grade artifact, the wood spirit sword that Xiao Qiufeng had used before, and brought it to Anxin's eyes. Here, Anxin baby, your true essence is of the wood attribute, so this wood spirit sword should be able to increase your combat effectiveness by a lot. It also looks pretty good, so take it and use it. Xiao Qiqing cried out in surprise. Ah, isn't this Xiao Qiufeng's magic treasure? Yang Cheng grinned. Qing your cheap brother was slaughtered by me, so it's not a problem to give this magic treasure to Anxin to use, right? Xiao Qiqing hurriedly shook her head. I was just surprised, of course it's okay. In fact, Xiao Qiqing was quite happy in her heart. Those people couldn't wait for her to be tortured, so why would they care about who their magic treasures belonged to? Anxin took the wood spirit sword and compared it with Jinxiu's red spider lily. In the end, she still felt a little resentful. After all, the difference in appearance was quite big. However, how could Yang Cheng be satisfied with everything? He only had one pair of blades, but there were many others. Although Yang Cheng had told the women to take whatever they liked, the women obviously didn't want to do that. They all waited for Yang Cheng to give them one by one. Firstly, the meaning was different. Secondly, they believed in Yang Cheng's judgment. This wasn't a toy, but a weapon. In the end, Xiang Wei took the dispersing flower long blade, Kai Ning took the thunderclap whip, and Choi Yun took the blood dragon golden blade. The other women couldn't use magic treasures yet, but Yang Cheng gave each of them one or two. Some defensive magic treasures were given to almost everyone. Lin Ruoxi had the Fengxiang bracelet, so she didn't need it. Even with Yang Cheng's current cultivation, he couldn't tell what grade of magic treasure the Fengxiang bracelet belonged to. It seemed to be related to the wearer's cultivation. Currently, Lin Ruoxi's cultivation was unable to let the Fengxiang bracelet display its true power. Some low-grade magic treasures weren't very useful, at least for a nouveau riche like Yang Cheng in the cultivation world. Yang Cheng simply gave Lan Lan a beautiful low-grade flying sword as a toy. Otherwise, the chubby little girl would pout and refuse to give up. In addition, the women who didn't get a space ring before were also given a ring. Although the size of the space was different, it was enough for them to store what they wanted, which was more attractive to the women. When the gifts were almost distributed, it was already evening. Coincidentally, a special true essence pressure appeared in the northwest. It was Jane who had returned. Since they had nothing to do anyway, Yang Cheng and the women walked to the seaside. A huge British royal cargo ship slowly docked at the port, and the fluttering Welsh royal flag fluttered in the wind. A group of well-trained royal soldiers, under the command of an officer, began to unload a large number of huge containers for the cargo ship and transported them by truck to the area that was briefly transformed into a research institute. At the same time, a helicopter that took off from the cargo ship slowly landed in the distance. Then, several figures walked down from the helicopter. He wore a fitted white shirt with an open collar, rolled-up sleeves, and black trousers with side patterns. His amber hair was slightly messy in the wind. He walked over from afar, but it was difficult to hide the grace and nobility that he exuded from his bones. Jane walked towards the crowd with a faint smile, and two women came down from behind her. One was a noble woman, and the other was a petite white girl. The beautiful woman, who was 70% similar to Jane, but much more mature, was Queen Catherine. She had a hot figure, and she wore a dark blue sleeveless dress that seemed to be unable to cover the pair of masterpieces on her chest. "Oh, little Jane, walk slowly, wait for Mom." Catherine began to shout from afar, but Jane pretended not to hear her and walked quickly to the front of the crowd. Lin Ruoshi and the other women greeted Jane, and Yang Cheng naturally hugged the woman. "Why is your mom here too?" Yang Cheng was a little nervous and looked at Catherine, who followed behind. Jane pursed her lips and smiled helplessly. "She just found out when we moved, so she insisted on coming with me. She said that she was afraid that I would live on the island in the future and not want her anymore." Yang Cheng nodded understandingly. If it was Catherine, she would indeed make such a childish choice. At this time, Catherine happily trotted towards Yang Cheng, not hiding her excitement at all. She opened her white, jade-like arms and hugged Yang Cheng with her tall body. "Oh, dear Yang Cheng, we haven't seen each other for so long. Don't you miss me?" "What?" With that, Catherine kissed Yang Cheng's cheek hard, leaving a lipstick mark. Yang Cheng suddenly felt a little cold behind him. He turned around and smiled awkwardly. Sure enough, he saw that the women were looking at him with strange eyes. Yang Cheng felt rather guilty. Although it was just a formality, and he was also friends with Catherine, he couldn't help but have a physical relationship with her other than friendship. Now that Jane was also his woman, it was equivalent to mother and daughter. Double kill? "Hello, Your Majesty Pluto." A crisp and slightly nervous voice came from the side. It was the white girl who hadn't spoken yet. Yang Cheng finally had the time to respond to her. After thinking for a moment, he smiled and said, "Your Grace, right? Jane's student." Little Grace's eyes lit up, and her face was flushed with excitement. She nodded vigorously. "Yes. So Your Majesty Pluto still remembers me." "Of course. You helped me save my woman. I will always remember you." Yang Cheng reached out and touched Grace's head because this girl did look like a little sister. Grace said shyly, "It was teacher who saved Miss Xiao. I actually didn't do anything." The girls didn't quite understand what was going on. Jane told them about the process of saving Xiao Qiqing in London. Xiao Qiqing also remembered and went up to express her gratitude to Grace. "Why did you bring her here?" Yang Cheng asked Jane. This Grace seemed to know his specific background. "After Grace followed me, I found that she made rapid progress in her studies. The key is that her attitude and spirit are excellent, and she is very talented in many professional studies. It's just that she didn't receive enough good education before, so she was buried. I have already trained her as my first assistant and student, so that she can inherit part of my mantle in the future. Of course, I have to let her know that she will often stay in this research place in the future." Grace lowered her head shyly and blushed, but she seemed to be very happy to be praised by her teacher. Chapter 1538. Yang Cheng smiled and poked Jane's forehead. Perhaps only Yang Cheng and Catherine, her mother, dared to do such a thing to Jane, who was revered by all the heads of state in the world. "You're only a few years old, and you're already thinking of leaving behind your legacy. You could just put on an act in front of your students. All right, let those soldiers carry it. Let's go back and eat." "Right, Grace can also come with us," Yang Cheng called out. Jane couldn't help gritting her teeth. This was too shameful in front of her students. She could only pretend that nothing had happened. After the group went to Yang Cheng's castle, dinner immediately became a bit livelier. Yang Cheng asked Jane if she needed any mystical artifacts, but she rejected him without hesitation. Firstly, she wasn't interested in any of them, and secondly, she didn't think that her Tao of Domain required any mystical artifacts. Catherine seized the opportunity to extort a batch of low-grade spirit pills from Yang Cheng to maintain her youthful beauty. Yang Cheng simply gave her a technique that could prolong her life and strengthen her body. As for whether she could learn it well or not, that was another matter. Yangqing also didn't think that the people he knew had a lifespan of hundreds or thousands of years like him. That would be too tiring. In the future, he would have to say goodbye to some of the people around him sooner or later. Fortunately, with the growth of his cultivation, Yangqing also became indifferent to these things. It was nothing more than the loneliness of an expert. Eating the Western-style feast cooked by the chefs, the women chatted and laughed. Yang Lanlan sat in his special children's chair and unknowingly finished his 8th steak. "Husband, how long will you be back this time? I heard from Qing'er that you're going to the illusion realm to kill the Luo family?" Choi Yun asked excitedly. Yang Cheng cut the beef and meat on his plate, his eyes squinting as he said, "Yonyan, I know what you're thinking, but I have to tell you that even though you've comprehended the heart flame, your cultivation is still too low. Luo Qinxiu, that old bastard, can casually throw out a golden crow and kill a bunch of people like you. So don't even think about getting me to bring you there." "Aya, aren't you here? Aren't you supposed to protect us?" Choi Yun pleaded. To her, it was very uncomfortable to be able to cultivate, but not be able to fight with real weapons. Moreover, she had a strong sense of justice, so she couldn't bear to see those people treat Xiao Qiqing like that. "That's enough, Yonyan. If we go with our husband, we'll only increase his burden. He can be said to be invincible in the illusion. If we go with him, we'll have a weakness," Kai Ning advised her sister. Choi Yun pouted and rolled her eyes at her sister. "Sister, you make it sound like you don't want to go at all. I really want to know what the fantasy realm looks like. There's nothing to be curious about. The fantasy realm is just a huge forest, snowy mountains, and a bunch of strange houses." Yang Cheng laughed. Qiang Wei asked, "Then hubby, when do you plan to go to the fantasy realm again? With your current strength, it should be easy for you to kill the Luo father and son." Yang Cheng put down his knife and fork, thought for a moment, and smiled. His gaze was gentle as he said, "I've thought about it. I'm not in a hurry to go. It's precisely because I have full confidence that I can kill them that I'm not in a hurry. I've now truly controlled the Chaos Cauldron. Even if I face the Shangqing Heavenly Lightning Tribulation, I'm confident that I can easily pass it. And what I lack the most now is the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning. If I can have the Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning before I go to the fantasy realm, then Luo Qinxiu probably won't even have the chance to fight back. I've already comprehended it, and when the time comes, I should be able to make a breakthrough. In fact, I can't wait for those guys in the fantasy realm to take the initiative to come to me. That way, I don't need to spend time looking for them to kill them one by one. Before that, I plan to accompany you guys more and watch the children grow up bit by bit. After all, this kind of life is what I'm pursuing. Killing people is also for the sake of living a good life. I can't put the cart before the horse." The girls quietened down and looked at Yang Cheng with gentle eyes. "It's not like you to say such mushy words in such a serious manner." Suddenly, Lin Ruoshi, who was beside Yang Cheng, glanced at him and said lightly with pursed lips. Yang Cheng laughed and said meaningfully, "Married men always mature especially quickly. We've been married for almost 3 years, and it's all because of my wife's teachings." "Don't be so talkative." Lin Ruoshi pushed Yang Cheng's head away with a palm. Yang Cheng clicked his tongue. Also in Hanzhong City, there's still no news of Mengyu, who Hanya is pretending to be. I want to wait for the power behind the Meng clan to appear. In addition, I also want to wait for all of you to raise your cultivation by a few more levels before I go and care about those guys. This way, even if I leave, I can still be a little more at ease. After saying so much, you make it sound like you're so great. Although we can't fight with you, if something happens to you, we won't be able to survive either. So, you've never been alone." Mo Chini said seriously. These words resonated with the women. From the moment they chose to be with Yang Cheng, they had already prepared for the worst. The atmosphere was a little heavy, which made Catherine a little overwhelmed. Suddenly, Her Majesty put down the spoon in her hand and suggested with a smile, "I say, everyone, since Yang Cheng is back, it's boring to stay on the island all the time. Why don't we go to London and watch a football match?" "Football match?" Jane frowned. "Mom, why did you suddenly mention watching football? We don't have many people watching football here." "No," Catherine explained. Little Jane, you only know how to do research and don't care about what's going on outside. The Champions League final is on May 8th. It's at Wembley Stadium in London. So what? What does it have to do with us? Of course. Miss Lin Hui was invited to sing the Champions League theme song at the opening of the Champions League final. Appearing in the Champions League final and singing a solo song is something that those superstars can't even dream of. This is unprecedented. She's really a superstar, Huaxia. Catherine blinked and said. Only then did everyone come to a realization. Lin Ruashi frowned and said unhappily, "Why didn't Hui Lin tell me about this? It's such a meaningful step and it's so close to England. You're the chairman of a multinational corporation. You don't have time to care about a small entertainment company. I guess Hui Lin is busy preparing and didn't have time to inform you." Yang Cheng teased. However, since Catherine mentioned it, everyone felt that they should go to the venue to watch, even if it was to support Hui Lin. Of course, the women did want to go outside to get some fresh air. It wasn't a good idea to keep cultivating nearby. Now that Yang Cheng was back, everyone had a backbone and could go to the shopping malls and other places to relax. At the same time, in the Ning family in the illusory realm, in the family meeting hall, Ning Zhengfeng's expression was uncertain. He turned his back to the spy, Ning Zhenggang, Ning Zhengchun, and the others. Leave. After a long while, Ning Zhengfeng waved his hand. The spy immediately flew out of the meeting hall. Ning Zhengfeng turned around and heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at his two brothers and some elders and smiled bitterly. This Yang Chun is really lucky to be able to survive even in this situation. What's more terrifying is that if the spy's report is true, even Luo Qianxiu and Luo Changchun, as well as the elders above the weak water realm, were completely crushed and fled. This can only prove that Yang Cheng's strength is probably above the Tai Ching Heavenly Thunder trial. Ning Zhenggang said with a stern face. Damn it, how did that kid cultivate? He wasn't so abnormal when I first saw him. Shang-Qing Heavenly Thunder trial? Are you kidding me? Weren't there only a few 20,000 years ago? There's still someone who can reach that level now. Ning Zhengchun cursed. With the Chaos Cauldron, a legendary divine item that surpasses the immortal weapon level, that Yang Cheng must be extraordinary. Patriarch, even if our Ning family can't be friends, we definitely can't be enemies with him. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even if all the elders of our Ning family return together, we might not be able to withstand his anger. A white-haired elder cupped his hands and suggested. After pondering for a moment, Ning Zhengfeng narrowed his eyes and said to Ning Guangyao, "Fourth brother, go and tell Ning Guangyao to contact his daughter. Through his channels, I want to meet Yang Cheng in private." "Ah, big brother, this is too dangerous. That guy is a homicidal maniac." Ning Zhengchun cried out involuntarily. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Chapter 1539. 2 days later, in the Forgotten Realms. The British Navy had left. Jane's Research Institute had been relocated with great efficiency, and the world had calmed down. Yang Cheng could be said to have enjoyed the blessings of multiple women these past 2 days. Whether it was day or night, he seized the opportunity to go to the Mount Wu with the women and have sex 300 times. On the hidden white beach, behind the reef, in the woods, in a woman's boudoir, or even on a yacht. Every part of his body was filled with traces of fantasies. The terrifying strength of Yang Gongsuan's body was once again displayed to the fullest. He wasn't a man of few desires in the first place. Looking at so many voluptuous and slender beauties wandering around, Yang Chun found it hard to restrain himself even if he wanted to. What's more, the women all wanted to conceive children, so they satisfied Yang Cheng's requests one by one until they were too tired or other people appeared around them. If they met a sister who was closer to them, they would even pull them together to do something absurd with Yang Chun. This made Yang Chun, who was hugging women on his left and right, feel like he was in heaven. The land of gentleness was indeed the grave of a hero. Fortunately, his mind was still clear and he knew what he was doing. However, Yang Cheng still did not touch Jinxiu and Jane. It was not that he did not want to, but he always felt weird with Jinxiu. As for Jane, It just so happened that he did not have time. This woman was busy with something in her own research institute, from arranging the research institute to assembling all kinds of equipment. She was busy with her little assistant Grace. On the third night, Yang Chung drank some wine with a group of old friends who came to the island. When he returned to the master bedroom of the castle, he saw Lin Ruoxi sitting at the desk, looking at some documents sent by Zhao Hongyan. A woman dressed in a light white lace nightgown sat there with her back facing him. Her feet were bare. Looking up from the bottom, he could see her delicate calves, the faintly discernible plump and beautiful legs, the slender waist, and the proud and straight side of the mountain peaks. Yang Chung swallowed his saliva, walked forward, hugged the woman from behind, and pressed his hands on Lin Ruoxi's pair of snowballs. Lin Ruoxi ran her fingers through her hair, turned around, and glared at him. Sleep in someone else's room tonight. Lan Lan wants to sleep with me. Wife, you don't have to say that. If Lan Lan wants to come, then come. It's not like I have to do anything to you. Isn't it good for the three of us to sleep together? Yang Chung chuckled and gently pinched the two protruding red beans in his hand. Lin Ruoxi let out a soft whimper and blushed. She pulled Yang Cheng's hands away. Stop messing around. I have something serious to tell you. Yang Chung was taken aback. He forced a smile and said, Serious business? Did my mom call you? Sigh. From time to time, she would say some unpleasant things. Don't worry about her. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are always difficult to get along with. Now that we've all moved abroad, it's hard for her to not be angry. I'll bring Lan Lan back tomorrow for her to see. It's not about Mom. Lin Ruoxi's eyes revealed a complicated expression. She bit her lips and sighed. It's Premier Ning. The smile on Yang Chen's face disappeared in an instant, and his cheerful attitude turned gloomy. What happened to him? What did he say to you? When Lin Ruoxi saw Yang Cheng's expression, she knew that the man was serious and did not have any intention of joking. He wants me to tell you that the head of the Ning family. He wants to meet you in private and see if you can. For my sake, go and see him. You can choose the time and place, Lin Ruoxi said in a low voice. A cold light flashed across Yang Cheng's eyes. The head of the Ning family? That should be Ning Zhengfeng. After a moment of silence, he said, Ruoxi, tell me, for your sake, do you want me to give you face or... He said he wanted me to give you face? Lin Ruoxi raised her head, her eyes flickering as she asked, This? Is there a difference? Of course there is. Yang Chung took a deep breath and said, If it's you, and you want me to give you face, then I will definitely go see him, because I will not refuse my wife's request. But if Ning Guangyao wants to use my feelings for you to make me see someone I don't want to see, then I might not be willing. I don't want to waste time meeting people who are destined to not become friends, because that kind of person either has nothing to do with me, or I will kill them sooner or later. Lin Ruoxi held her breath and looked at the man. After a long while, she smiled like a snow lotus blooming, then don't see him. I will respond to him. My face is useless. However, Yang Chung did not smile. He said in a low voice, Do you have to keep in touch with him? Can't you? Don't have anything to do with him anymore. It shouldn't be a big deal. Lin Ruoxi said, I won't do anything stupid. I have my own judgment. Ning Guangyao is too scary. If there are parents in this world who can really abandon their own children, then he must be one of them. As long as Yang Chung thought of Luo Cuishan and Ning Guodong's fate, he couldn't help but feel incomparably disgusted with Ning Guangyao. I'm afraid that you will be hurt because of him sooner or later. Lin Ruoxi was silent and lowered her head without saying a word. Yang Chung knew that it was useless to persuade her. He could only try his best to protect the woman. However, after being disturbed by such a matter, he was no longer in the mood to flirt with Lin Ruoxi. Seeing the chubby little girl running in with spotted pajamas, Yang Chung touched his daughter's head and went out of the room. Coming to the cliff outside the castle, Yang Chung looked up at the starry sky. He was wondering what the Ning family was up to, but from the corner of his eye, he saw a bright light in the corner. That was Jane's newly arranged laboratory. It was so late, but Jane did not return her residence. She was still doing research. Yang Chung suddenly remembered that he happened to have some questions to ask this genius beauty, so he flew to the outside of the laboratory building. After entering, he found that there was no one on the first floor, so he walked up the stairs. The laboratory had a total of 7 floors. Because Jane's research was too extensive, there were a lot of strange instruments and devices. Other scientists might not know how to use them at all. These were Jane's real treasures. It had to be said that compared to the branded bags and jewelry that girls of the same age liked, this princess's hobbies were really strange. Before reaching the top floor, he heard Jane and Grace shouting something. "Teacher, the accelerator has reached the critical point of the force field. Conversion efficiency? More than 998%. Coordinate calibration. Countdown timer. Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yang Chung had just walked to the top floor and was wondering what was going on. Why was there a countdown timer? Could it be that a rocket was launched? Looking at the stairs, he happened to see a scene that almost made him stumble and fall down the stairs. He saw that in the center of the laboratory, a precise white cylindrical device the size of 2 people was facing an open circular opening on the roof, facing the starry sky. A white beam of light, as thick as a palm, burst out from the center of the cylinder and went straight through the clouds, shooting into the sky. Yang Chung was shocked. Although he did not know what it was, it seemed that it condensed a very terrifying power. When the beam of light dissipated, the brightness of the laboratory returned to normal. Only then did Yang Chung realize that Grace and Jane were both wearing protective goggles. The two of them were working on the central control panel. "Teacher, the data shows that the accuracy of this launch is less than 0.1 attometer. It's up to your standards." Grace jumped up in joy. Jane, who was wearing a white coat, also took off her protective goggles and the rubber band that tied her ponytail. She smiled in satisfaction and looked at Yang Chung, who was at the staircase. "You've worked hard, little Grace. I will clean up the rest. You can go back and rest." Grace also noticed that Yang Chung had appeared in the laboratory. Her face was red, and she snickered. After saying goodbye to Jane and Yang Chung, she ran down happily. "TSK, TSK. It seems that you have chosen the right student. That girl is indeed full of joy and satisfaction from your research." Yang Chung nodded and walked to the center of the laboratory. He circled around the white cylinder and looked at it, but he could not understand what it was. Grace was only interested in medicine at first, but I discovered her innate scientist cells. Jane took off her plastic gloves and walked to Yang Cheng's side. She smiled faintly and said, "Dear, it is not your style to come here at this time." Yang Chung laughed and scratched his face. He pointed at the cylinder and said, "Let's not talk about that first. What is this thing? It looks pretty awesome." Jane smiled knowingly and reached out to caress the cylinder as if it was a treasure. She smiled sweetly and excitedly and said, "This is my work for the past year. I named it Cumberbatch Particle Beam Cannon. What do you think? Isn't it cute?" Chapter 1540. Very, very cute. After Yang Chung confirmed that he didn't hear it wrong, he nodded with a stiff smile. "Indeed, it's round and pretty." Jane's eyes immediately lit up, and she happily introduced the origin, background, design concept, physics, mathematics, and mechanical principles of the particle beam cannon. Yang Chung was stunned. In the end, when he saw that Jane had no intention of stopping, he quickly interrupted and asked, Jane, just tell me, what is this used for? Is it a weapon used to kill people?" "Kill people?" Jane chuckled and said something shocking. "This can indeed be used to kill people, but my design is for future spaceships to resist meteorites and asteroids." "What did you say?" Yang Cheng's jaw almost dropped to the ground. How did she bring up spaceships again? Jane explained with a smile, "My friend Hawking is right about one thing. There are too many planets in the universe. From a statistical point of view, the probability of producing life other than humans is far higher than the standard of statistical probability. Even if humans haven't discovered aliens yet, aliens can almost be determined to exist. Therefore, if aliens discover us first, it means that we humans, who can't even land on Mars, are weak and vulnerable in front of aliens. I feel that as a scientist, if I can do something for life on this Earth, perhaps the highest level goal, is to sail to outer space and preserve the spark of life for humans. Humans will definitely move towards the era of interstellar travel in the future. Flying in the universe is not like on Earth. We will encounter various asteroid belts, meteorite showers, and other dangers at any time. At that time, once it is unavoidable, we will have to use weapons to destroy these large obstacles. It is impossible for humans to travel with a lot of nuclear warheads. Therefore, I want to design this kind of particle beam weapon that has a certain foundation in theory. It is the weapon used in science fiction movies, but I have already built the real thing. Of course, this is just a prototype. To really apply it to spaceships, we need to design larger particle accelerators and other core components according to the actual situation. But in general, with this prototype, we can basically be sure that at least there are no major problems in terms of weapons. Currently, the only thing I need to solve is how to convert the starting energy from nuclear energy to solar energy or other renewable energy sources in the universe. But that's not a big problem for me. I'm confident that I can solve it within a few years. After listening to Jane's explanation, Yangcheng couldn't help but look at this strange thing a few more times. He swallowed his saliva. This guy can destroy asteroids? Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for them to destroy a city with just a little more power? Yangcheng touched his forehead and lamented, "Fortunately, your man is me. Otherwise, I'm really afraid that someone will steal this guy away. Then the world will be in chaos." Jane hugged Yangcheng's neck and said with a charming smile, "Don't worry, dear. I know what I'm doing. All the dangerous items I design have confidentiality measures. Without my decryption, others won't be able to activate it. It will only self-destruct. So, even if someone steals my research results, it will be futile. There is no one on Earth who can decrypt my encryption. Speaking of which, since the death of that Yen Buin, I really can't find anyone who can compete with me in certain fields. I kind of miss that weird guy." "Why do you miss him?" "The man in your mind only needs me." Yangcheng sat down on an empty laboratory table and held Jane on his lap. He put one hand around the woman's small waist, and the other hand caressed the straight and elastic legs under the white coat. "Little Jane, I have something I haven't thought of asking you." Yangcheng whispered into Jane's ear, blowing hot and humid air. Jane's face was stained with a bright red. She was aware of what might happen next. Although she had been mentally prepared and had even taken the initiative to do it before, when it really happened, it was inevitable that she would be nervous like a young lady getting on the bridal sedan for the first time. "You say?" Yangcheng recalled the scene of his encounter with Athena and asked, "While I was in Korea, I met that woman Athena. She said, 'I don't understand space at all.' She also said that there is no so-called force in space. I never understood what she meant. You're proficient in astronomy and physics. Can you explain it to me?" Jane's beautiful eyes flashed, and her blue eyes were like two precious gems that captivated people's hearts. "Well, actually, it's just a very simple truth. It's just that you haven't tried to understand it." Jane bit her lip and suddenly smiled charmingly. She reached out to grab Yangcheng's hand and put on her chest. Yangcheng's hand covered the towering mass, and he immediately felt the wonderful fullness and elasticity. After all, she was Catherine's daughter. She had inherited the excellent genes that could topple nations. She was still a virgin, but she already had a good size. "Help me unbutton it," Jane said with a wink. Yangcheng swallowed his saliva. He didn't know what the woman was trying to do. He quickly unbuttoned Jane's shirt. A pair of turbulent waves immediately popped out, broke free from the restraint, and breathed the fresh air. The two spots of cherry red were particularly provocative. Seeing the man staring straight at her, Jane felt a little sweet in her heart. She reached out and grabbed one of Yangcheng's index fingers. "Dear, now you think of one of my breasts as space and the nipple above as a planet. It could be the Earth or the Sun. If the mass of this planet gradually increases," Jane said slowly and slowly used Yangcheng's finger to press down the captivating red spot. Then a soft depression appeared. Then space will form this shape. So, in the range of this depression, all other matter will be controlled in this depression circle. unless a planet with a greater mass appears and forms a larger depression circle, so that these planets are all included in another circle. Yang Chung listened very carefully, but at the same time, he couldn't help but be attracted by Jane's wonderful teaching method. It turned out that scientific principles could be so erotic. Jane felt the man's spear under her buttocks was already irresistible, as if it was going to break her pants. Her breathing became particularly rapid. That is to say, there is indeed no force in space. It is because of the existence of mass that changes the shape of space, which produces the so-called force. Of course, this is only the most superficial truth. Yang Chung suddenly grabbed the back of the woman's head and kissed her hard. The two of them kissed wildly. Gradually, Yang Chung pressed Jane down on the white experiment table, and his hand squeezed hard on the woman's chest. Enough. I understand, but if I continue to listen like this, I'll be driven crazy by you. Yang Chung greedily nibbled and kissed the woman's cheeks, neck, and all the way down. Jane's body fragrance was different from other women, with a faint smell of disinfectant. This was due to long-term exposure to medical biology and other fields. Although it was weird, Yang Chung enjoyed it very much. Jane enjoyed it and cooperated. When she tried to take off the white coat, she was stopped by Yang Chung. "Don't take it off. You can take it off inside, but let me wear the white coat. I like to see you in this uniform." Yang Chung smiled evilly. After a slight pause, Jane rolled her eyes at him. She didn't know what to do with men's special hobbies, but she still accepted it. When it was empty inside, the woman's body was exposed to the air, but she put on a white coat and leaned on the experiment table. She stuck out her perky buttocks and turned her head to look at him. Yang Chung felt that he was about to melt with happiness. The next combination seemed to be a matter of course. Jane's physical fitness made her feel almost no pain. Feeling the man's masculine thing entering, there was only the throbbing of emptiness being filled in an instant, and her delicate body trembled. Yang Chung bent down and hugged her from the woman's chest. Feeling the tight package below, he smiled proudly and said, "Comfortable?" Jane suddenly smiled slyly. "Dear, yesterday my mother told me that your thing is very big, and you always like to play behind her. I believe it today. Don't go behind me, it will hurt." Chapter 1541. The sudden mention of Catherine at this time made Yang Chung stunned, and his lower body almost softened. Fortunately, Yang Chung reacted quickly. He bit the woman's red lips and pretended to be angry. "You little devil, do you think I will surrender when you mention your mother at this time? If you don't let me try, I will try later. I will let you suffer a little in this round first." Jane giggled, obviously not taking Yang Cheng's threat seriously. She couldn't wait for him to do his best. How could Yang Chang be defeated by a woman who was doing it for the first time? He mustered up his strength and began to work hard in the laboratory. The entire deserted laboratory building was gradually filled with the shameful cries of women. It wasn't until the middle of the night that the sound subsided. Jane finally begged for mercy. Compared with Yang Cheng's tireless monster-like body, she was still more human. However, for Jane, completing the transformation from a girl to a woman in her favorite laboratory seemed to have a different kind of satisfaction. For Yang Chung, to be honest, he still wanted to try Jane's other beauty, but Catherine's appearance kept lingering in his mind, so he was a little embarrassed, so he had to give up for the time being. Anyway, there was still a long way to go. Later, Yang Chung carried the woman to the top astronomical observatory, lay on a table, let Jane rest her head on his arm, and looked up at the starry sky. Under the stars, it was quiet and warm. "Hubby, with your current cultivation, can you fly into space?" After a while, Jane suddenly asked. Yang Chung frowned. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about it, and it wasn't that he hadn't tried it when he was cultivating alone, but no, Yang Chung said helplessly, "Although I can enter space through true essence, the further away from the Earth, the thinner the aura of heaven and earth will be. In space, there will be no aura of heaven and earth, and there will be no air. I don't have the heaven and earth spiritual chi to support my transformation into true essence, and I don't have the air to sustain my life. Although my body can resist the cosmic radiation, even if I don't use a true essence shield, I won't be able to hold on for long. Moreover, That feeling is extremely uncomfortable. As expected, we still lack the highest level of energy to sustain the life of a cultivator. Just like a spaceship, we still need to solve the energy problem. Jane said thoughtfully, as if she was talking to herself. She began to fall into deep thought again. Yang Chung smiled and tilted his head to look at the woman who was deep in thought with her brows furrowed. My dear little Jian, don't tell me you're thinking about your scientific experiments at such a romantic time. Jane was taken aback. She stuck out her tongue and smiled. I didn't do it on purpose. It's a professional habit. It's fine even if you did it on purpose. I'll like you no matter what. Is this considered a man's sweet talk? No, I mean it. Illusion Luo family fort. The devastation left behind by the battle was still vivid in everyone's eyes. Many of the white jade pavilions that had collapsed had caused the Luo family fort to lose its former glory. However, the key figure was still there. Everything was not over yet. In the Luo family's meeting hall, Luo Chinchio sat on the patriarch seat. The 2 rows below him were the patriarchs of the Luo family's vassal families. Each of them had a nervous expression on their faces as they lowered their heads and listened to Luo Chinchio's instructions. When Luo Chinchio was still at the peak of the weak water realm, he had already intimidated the people of the vassal families to the point that they did not dare to be negligent. Now that he had shaken the illusion and become a Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation cultivator, he naturally became even more dignified and inviolable. As I said, that evil thief Yang Chung is bloodthirsty. He is a vicious and evil person. He colluded with the Shao family's 9 meridians and set up a scheme to infiltrate my Luo family. He harmed Great Elder Luo Feng and Chief Steward Luo Lei. He even borrowed the soul of the fierce beast in the Chaos Cauldron to kill 2 of my Luo family's grand elders. This is an irreconcilable blood feud. My Luo family must work together to make him pay 100-fold. Luo Chinchio's voice shook everyone's eardrums. The patriarchs of the vassal families all had bitter expressions on their faces. Patriarch, one of the elders said respectfully, if Yang Chun is so powerful, how are we going to defend against his sharp claws in the future if he continues to pester us in the illusory realm? Luo Chinchio narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, Patriarch Peng, there is no need to panic. In order to deal with Yang Chung, my grandfather Luo Changchun has brought back several weak water realm elders. And my father Luo Pengchao has also brought several weak water realm grand elders back to guard the vicinity of the family. I have also entered the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation and am not much different from Yang Chung. Recently, I will continue to increase my cultivation. At that time, if Yang Chung dares to come, we only need to work together to reveal his location. Our Luo family has thousands of cultivators. Do we still need to be afraid of him? The old patriarch is also back. Very quickly, several elders from the vassal clans below exclaimed in surprise, appearing very surprised. Although Luo Chinchio's grandfather Luo Changchun was powerful, it was Luo Pengchao who had seized the position of patriarch from Luo Feng's bloodline with his supreme talent and strength. Before Luo Pengchao left the position of patriarch and left the vision of the people in the illusion, he was regarded as the #1 sword expert in the illusion for hundreds of years. Although that sword maniac Su Shaogong was powerful, he could only be regarded as Luo Pengchao's junior. There was still a big gap between him and Luo Pengchao. Such a prestigious genius of the Luo family had returned. Everyone could not help but guess that since Luo Chinchio had already reached the Tai Ching heavenly lightning tribulation, Luo Pengchao might have already. Luo Chinchio did not say anything about his father's cultivation. He only told everyone to go back and prepare for the battle. After the people of the vassal families dispersed, Luo Chinchio flew out of the Luo family fort and went to a forest in the east. In the forest, dozens of miles away, a large number of exotic flowers and plants were planted in an open space, overflowing with fragrance. Among them, 3 or 4 grass huts stood leisurely, complementing the surrounding natural scenery, appearing like a paradise. At this moment, beside a stone chess table outside the grass hut, Luo Changchun and a middle-aged man with black hair and a mustache who looked somewhat similar to him were leisurely playing black and white chess pieces. The moment Luo Chinchio landed, he glanced at the chessboard and found that the black and white pieces were evenly matched. But if one looked closely, the white piece held by the middle-aged man was well prepared and might even be able to kill the black piece's dragon in the end. However, Luo Chinchio did not say much about the chess game. He bowed his head and said, "Chinchio greets grandfather and father." No matter how powerful he was in the illusion, Luo Chinchio was still respectful to his own grandfather and father. Of course, these two were also experts worthy of his respect. "Oh, those people from the vassal families, have they returned?" Luo Changchun raised the black piece, hesitating as he casually asked. "Yes, I've already let them receive the communication talisman. If Yang Cheng plans to break them one by one, they will receive the news immediately. I've also told them that father has returned," Luo Chinchio said. Luo Changchun nodded, "That Yang Cheng still hasn't made a move yet." The people who were sent to the secular world to investigate came back with news that Yang Cheng was once in contact with the Yang family in Huaxia. So we can determine that after we scattered and retreated that day, he was not controlled by the primal chaos. As for how he did it, I still can't figure it out. Right now, he should have gone abroad, and the spies and the illusion haven't reported anything. Perhaps something happened to Yang Cheng, and that would be a good time for us to recover and strengthen. But it's also possible. A hint of worry flashed in Luo Chinchio's eyes. It's also possible that he wants to comprehend something even stronger, such as controlling the power of primal chaos for a long time, or comprehending the Tai Ching divine lightning, in order to give us a thorough blow. Luo Changchun finished speaking for his grandson, and, at the same time, put down the black piece. Luo Chinchio nodded, but then he grinned. "I'm afraid you're worrying too much. How can the Tai Ching divine lightning be comprehended so easily? And that day, he might just be lucky, and the primal chaos Val soul helped him. Right now, our Luo family has at least 2 Tai Ching divine lightning tribulations, and my father is also at the end of the Tai Ching divine lightning tribulation. If that Yang Cheng dares to come again, I'm afraid the primal chaos Val's soul won't be able to help him." Luo Pingqiao, who was about to put down the white piece, finally paused. He turned his head and looked at Luo Chinchio with a pair of cold eyes. "I remember telling you before, never think that you're that amazing. An enemy who can instantly kill Grandma Luo Chinchio, even if he's not much stronger than us, is definitely not someone we can easily deal with. What? You just entered the Tai Ching divine lightning tribulation, and you already think that you've accomplished a lot.